Eun-gyeol, a bright and kind-hearted boy, lived in a unique world. His parents and older brother were deaf, but Eun-gyeol could hear and speak perfectly. He helped at his family's little restaurant near a construction site daily. The workers loved him for his sharp mind and often slipped him some extra cash. In return, Eun-gyeol would treat them to delicious drinks. Since he was the only one in his family who could communicate with the outside world, Eun-gyeol became a bridge between them. One day, the food supplier arrived with stale vegetables. Eun-gyeol's mom, who was always protective of her son, told him to send the delivery man away. She warned him that being deaf and mute doesn't make you stupid and that he shouldn't try to cheat them. She also clarified that he wouldn't be paid until he brought fresh vegetables the next day. The supplier left, visibly annoyed. That Christmas Eve, a blizzard hit. Eun-gyeol was woken by the sound of snow falling. His mom, curious, asked what it sounded like. He described it as the soft rustling of clothes drying in the sun. His mom burst into laughter, saying he had the makings of a poet. Then the family went out to build a snowman. As everyone was happily playing, Eun-gyeol noticed something dangerous. The screws holding the scaffolding above them were loose. He saw that the scaffolding was about to fall on his brother, who was building the snowman below. He rushed to warn his brother, but slipped and fell to the ground. Eun-gyeol screamed in terror, trying to warn his brother and parents, but they couldn't hear him. In a desperate moment, he grabbed his flashlight and shone it towards them. His dad, instantly aware of the danger, ran towards his son and saved his brother just in the nick of time. They all huddled together, shaken, around the fireplace. Eun-gyeol asked his dad a question that would haunt him forever. If you had to save me or my brother, who would you choose? His mom, ever the optimist, chimed in. What if it was me and our sons? Who would you save? His dad looked at all three of them and gave his answer. The words struck a chord in Eun-gyeol's heart. Every time he faced a difficult decision, he would remember his father's answer. Not long after, thanks to their hard work, Eun-gyeol's family finally had their place. It was a basement apartment, but they were overjoyed. Their new landlord welcomed them with a smile, but her words stung. She explained that she only rented to them because they were deaf and wouldn't be noisy. Eun-gyeol kept his landlord's hurtful words to himself. He chose to silently endure the pain. Just as she was leaving, she saw Eun-gyeol's award certificates on the truck. She quickly contacted her son, and the next day, the boy showed up at their doorstep, eager to befriend the brainiac Eun-gyeol. He invited Eun-gyeol to hang out and explore the neighborhood. Eun-gyeol wanted to bring his deaf brother, but the boy said he couldn't because it was a class thing. Eun-gyeol's parents reluctantly agreed to let him go. As they passed a music store, the boy warned Eun-gyeol to avoid it at all costs, saying the old man inside was dangerous and wore shackles on his legs. As he finished, the old man, with his white hair, stepped out of the store, and the boys quickly walked away. They ended up at an internet cafe to play games. Then, Eun-gyeol received a call from his dad. He needed Eun-gyeol to come home because his parents had to go back to the restaurant, leaving his brother alone. Eun-gyeol was forced to leave the games, leaving his friends disappointed. The landlord's son revealed his real reason for befriending Eun-gyeol. He wanted Eun-gyeol to write his name on the upcoming exam. In return, the boy would put Eun-gyeol's name on his test. He didn't want to get a failing grade. Eun-gyeol refused to cheat, so the boy poured water on him. The boy threatened to tell his mom and get Eun-gyeol's family kicked out of their apartment. Eun-gyeol felt a wave of despair. He didn't know what to do. He was all alone. Without thinking, he sat down in front of the music store and started to cry. The owner saw him and threw a towel at Eun-gyeol, inviting him inside for hot chocolate. But Eun-gyeol was too scared, fearing the owner was up to something. The owner, seeing his fear, pulled up his pants, showing he didn't have any shackles. He then yelled at the boy's son, calling him a bad kid and encouraging Eun-gyeol to stay away from him. He also promised to tell Eun-gyeol's parents what happened that day. The owner's kindness calmed Eun-gyeol down. He confided in the owner, saying he didn't want to tell his parents. He knew they would be blamed twice as hard, people assuming they couldn't raise their kids because they were deaf. He tried his best to be a good kid. Touched by his maturity, the owner offered to teach him how to play the guitar. Eun-gyeol, remembering the beautiful music he heard outside the store, agreed. The owner started teaching Eun-gyeol how to talk to the guitar through music. Eun-gyeol was drawn to the owner's amazing music, and soon he fell in love with the guitar. He started to learn, eager to play. Because he refused the landlord's son, Eun-gyeol was constantly bullied at school. But with music in his heart, he was able to keep his spirits up. He even boldly confronted the landlord about her rental rights, reminding her that she couldn't evict them during their lease. The landlord's son was furious, gnashing his teeth in anger. As the seasons changed, Eun-gyeol's guitar skills improved. The owner saw his progress and gave him an old record player, asking him to create a guitar riff for the music. If he was satisfied, he would give Eun-gyeol a guitar of his choice. Eun-gyeol eagerly accepted the challenge. As Eun-gyeol left the shop and headed home, he saw the landlord's son being punished for failing his exams. He was wearing only a thin shirt in the cold. Feeling sorry for him, Eun-gyeol gave him his jacket, but the boy was rude and rejected it. Eun-gyeol arrived home just as his parents were leaving. They told him to look after his brother who was sick. After checking on his brother, who was sleeping, Eun-gyeol went into the living room. He turned on the music and started composing the riff. He was so focused on the music, completely lost in the unknown melody, that he didn't hear the landlord's son knocking. When there was no answer, the boy threw his jacket through the window. Just then, a delivery driver threw a cigarette butt on the ground. The landlord's son, enraged, picked it up and tossed it inside. The cigarette landed on the curtains and the room burst into flames. Eun-gyeol finished the riff and was about to head out to share the good news with the music store owner. Before leaving, he checked on his brother to make sure he was okay. On his way out, he tried calling the owner, but there was no answer. When he arrived at the music store, it was dark as night. He knocked, but no one answered. The owner was lying unconscious on the floor inside. Desperate, Eun-gyeol went back home. As he approached his apartment building, he saw a swarm of firefighters. He pushed his way through the crowd and found his mom. She told him with a tear in her eye that his dad had rushed into the burning building to save him. Eun-gyeol remembered his dad's answer. He would have saved him because he was the voice that connected their family to the world. He could run outside and get help. To his dad, Eun-gyeol was a little angel. Eun-gyeol felt terrible and collapsed to the ground, crying. His dad was finally rescued. He looked at Eun-gyeol, relieved to see him safe, and then fainted from exhaustion. The landlord was in the crowd, watching everything unfold. She noticed her son looking strange, and realized he had peed his pants from fear. Seeing that the family was all right, she went to the hospital and demanded that Eun-gyeol's parents be held responsible. His mom explained that the fire started because of the discarded cigarettes, not because of them. But the landlord, who didn't understand sign language, demanded they move out. With nowhere else to go, the family packed up. Before leaving, Eun-gyeol wanted to say goodbye to the music store owner. He ran to the shop, only to see a white lantern hanging outside. He burst into tears. Just then, a mother and her daughter, carrying chrysanthemums, walked past him and towards the music store. The little girl turned around and looked at Eun-gyeol, who was crying. Time flew by, and 6 years passed. A new building replaced the music store. Eun-gyeol's brother became a taekwondo champion. Eun-gyeol was a top student in high school. The two brothers were handsome and drew many admiring glances from girls. His brother told Eun-gyeol that he had a girlfriend. She was beautiful and deaf. She played the cello at a music college. But how could a deaf girl play the cello? He guessed she must have pretended to be deaf to get his attention. Eun-gyeol just chuckled, saying that his brother was so confident. Right then, they both received a text from their mom, and they hurried back to the store. Their dad was bragging about his sons to some friends. A rotating blackboard was on the table, and their dad wrote down everything he wanted to say. He had been drinking a bit too much, and his head slumped onto the table. The two brothers helped their dad to bed. He sat up and pulled Eun-gyeol close. He told him that the people he had been drinking with tonight used to look down on him. But they couldn't do that anymore, not with two amazing sons. One was a future taekwondo national team athlete, and the other was the top student in his school, destined to become a doctor. The dad was beaming with pride, hoping that Eun-gyeol would become a doctor too. Eun-gyeol looked at his father's happy face and accepted his hug, but he wasn't happy. He went to his desk and thought about his dad's words. He looked around at all the inspirational posters on the wall, filled with his parents' expectations. He had made them his dream too, pushing down his desires. No one in the family knew that Eun-gyeol didn't want to be a doctor at all. His true passion was music, especially playing the guitar. Eun-gyeol played his guitar on the street with passion, and many people stopped to watch. He felt at ease with the music. His eyes lit up with joy. He had already connected the world of silence and sound through language and sign language. But now he had found another way, using music to express his feelings. Eun-gyeol's amazing guitar skills attracted the attention of a band. The members asked him to join as their guitarist. He didn't want to reveal his true identity, so he immediately refused. But before he left, they gave him a CD and the band's contact information. Eun-gyeol tucked the CD away in his music collection, a small space filled with everything related to music. It was his world, his dream, something nobody else knew about. This time, he wanted to take a chance, so he grabbed the CD and ran to the band. But before joining, he set two conditions. First, he couldn't take off his mask when they performed. Second, his family and studies came first. Soon, the band had a performance. With Eun-gyeol's participation, they blended seamlessly. Their energetic music lit up the entire concert hall. Eun-gyeol's solo performance was especially electric. Even better, a talent agency was impressed with their performance. They wanted the band to be guest performers on an overseas tour. The manager announced that the production director, Ma Ju, would be meeting with them next week. The band members embraced each other in excitement. If they got Ma Ju's approval, they could release an album and achieve their musical dreams. To celebrate this historic day, The band members raised their glasses in cheers. Just then, Eun-gyeol received a text from his dad. He had gotten into a car accident and needed Eun-gyeol to go to the police station. Eun-gyeol rushed to the station to act as an interpreter. Luckily, his dad was only slightly injured after dodging the car. But what shocked him was that the driver who crashed into the shop was the landlord he hadn't seen in years. All the cameras around were broken, so it was impossible to determine the hit-and-run driver. The landlord insisted she was the driver, but his dad was sure she wasn't. After talking to his dad, Eun-gyeol reported to the police that his father had seen the driver, and it was the landlord's son. She wanted to protect her son, so she stubbornly took the blame. There wasn't enough evidence, so they could only wait for further investigation before deciding. Leaving the police station, Eun-gyeol's dad asked about the landlord's son. The landlord thought he was making fun of her. His dad looked at her, disappointed. Eun-gyeol translated his dad's words for her. Even though it had been years, she was still the same. She knew the truth about the fire years ago, but chose to stay quiet to protect her son. She felt a little ashamed, but still insisted that her son was innocent. Eun-gyeol couldn't understand his dad. His dad was okay, and the landlord had offered to cover the damages. Eun-gyeol asked him if he could just let it go, but his dad replied that he wouldn't swallow his anger like he did 6 years ago. His patience hadn't made the landlord or her son see the error of their ways. He still remembered the fire. He regretted not suing them back then. It wasn't Eun-gyeol who started the fire, but no one listened to a deaf and poor kid, so he couldn't speak up. It had been tormenting him for years. His dad's words made Eun-gyeol feel guilty. If he had been there, maybe the real culprit would have been caught. He thought about his brother and father who had almost died in the fire, and he didn't want to repeat the same mistake. To protect his family, he decided to give up music. The band members had no idea about his family's situation. When they heard that Eun-gyeol couldn't continue with the band, they thought he was getting too big for his britches. They even started to pick on him. But Eun-gyeol had no choice but to tell them the truth. He almost put his family in danger. He left his brother at home, unable to hear or call for help. Eun-gyeol thought everyone had forgotten, but he was wrong. The scars were still deep inside everyone. I have to get back on track before it's too late. It's dangerous to chase my dreams. The band members understood his pain, but they didn't want him to give up on music. One of them followed Eun-gyeol outside and told him they would stick with music, and that they would hold a spot for him. Eun-gyeol went back to his room, feeling heavy. He wasn't expecting to see his mom waiting there. She was worried, seeing the bruise on his face. She took out his report card. His grades had been slipping lately. His mom had been bringing him food and checking on him now and then, but she hadn't pushed him to talk. She hoped he would open up to her. She decided to keep this a secret from his dad. She wanted him to be happy, and Eun-gyeol was his source of joy. She hoped he would overcome his confusion and get back to his old self. Eun-gyeol couldn't answer. His dream and his love for his family felt like shackles choking him. In a fit of anger, he rode his bike to the guitar store. The old building was now a new one, but he still remembered it. In a moment of panic, the old owner and memories of his childhood appeared before him. Without hesitation, he ran into the room that had been his dream. Just as he was lost in the past, a woman walked out of the room, carrying an empty bottle of wine. She asked him if he liked her daughter. Eun-gyeol explained that this used to be a music store, and he was close to the owner. He was surprised when she seemed to know his name. The woman explained that she had seen him crying in front of the music store before they moved. Then she invited him in, saying she had something for him. She was the owner's daughter. She had been living abroad since high school. She had come back home after her father passed away. She gave him a guitar, her father's last gift for Eun-gyeol. He remembered the beautiful time when the owner challenged him to earn the guitar, and how he completed the challenge. 6 years had passed, but this gift finally found its rightful owner. Then, she told him about her father's last words. That boy knows how to talk to the guitar. He knows how to use his guitar to speak to the world. He's going to be a great guitarist. Eun-gyeol couldn't speak, tears streaming down his face. He almost gave up on his dream, and now he was torn again. The owner's spirit seemed to be beside him. He wondered what to do. There were 2 lives, one that made his heart beat, and the other that made his father proud. Choosing one meant losing the other. The owner suggested flipping a coin to decide. He teased Eun-gyeol for being a music student who didn't know how to use metaphors. Think of your life as a coin, he said. Flip it and decide. Then, he disappeared. Later, Eun-gyeol reappeared in the band, guitar in hand, and a smile on his face. He was ready to practice with the guitar the owner had given him. At dinner the next day, his dad gestured to show that he had found a black box from a car near the accident. He wanted Eun-gyeol to go with him to find the owner of the car and ask for the car's driving record. But Eun-gyeol had band practice. He found an excuse to decline. His brother then lied, saying Eun-gyeol had to go to the gym with him to talk to his coach about a change of training location. Eun-gyeol realized his brother might know everything, so he asked him. His brother pulled up a video of the band's performance. He recognized the masked guitarist. It was his brother. Eun-gyeol invited his brother and his girlfriend to the show, but his brother declined, saying he couldn't go because he wouldn't be able to hear his brother's music. Right before the show, the lead singer got sick. Eun-gyeol ran out to get medicine and was spotted by the landlord. She secretly followed him and saw the band members taking medicine. She wrongly assumed Eun-gyeol was hanging out with bad friends. Just then, she received a call from the police. They had found evidence against her son. She rushed to the station. The police showed her a video, confirming that her son was the culprit. The landlord was furious. She told Eun-gyeol's dad that she thought his son was a good boy, but he was drinking and smoking. The person who looks down on you the most is your son. Eun-gyeol's dad didn't understand what she was saying and drove away. Meanwhile, the lead singer's voice still wasn't back. To save the show, the band asked Eun-gyeol to be the lead singer. He felt anxious. For the first time, he removed his mask and sang with all his heart. In the audience were not only the famous director Ma Ju, but also Eun-gyeol's dad. He couldn't hear, but he rushed inside and watched his son with admiration. His world was shattered. After the concert, Eun-gyeol knew he had disappointed his dad, but he mustered up the courage to tell him how he felt. He loved music, singing, and being on stage. His dad thought he was just looking for temporary joy because of the pressure from school. He thought he would eventually get back on the right track, but this time, Eun-gyeol didn't listen. His true self wasn't what his parents wanted, but this was the real Eun-gyeol. He pulled away from his dad, who tried to lead him away. He didn't want to be used as a tool for his dad to show off, a translator, or a fire alarm. He didn't even want to be the angel his dad always thought he was. His dad was furious. His son had never told him his true thoughts. Eun-gyeol was angry too. He didn't know how to explain himself because his dad couldn't hear. In a blink of an eye, they fell silent. Eun-gyeol picked up his bag and walked off the stage. He remembered his dad protecting him since childhood. He realized his words might have been a bit harsh. In a fit of anger, he picked up the guitar the owner gave him and wanted to smash it. Suddenly, his shadow split in two. The moon in the sky also split in two. He turned around and saw the music store in front of him. He walked inside, and everything felt familiar. A man who claimed to be the owner appeared out of nowhere. Eun-gyeol wanted to sell the guitar. The owner handed him 2 stacks of money and told him to come back if he changed his mind. But the store was very difficult to find. He gave Eun-gyeol a receipt, warning him to take care of it because it would be a big problem if he lost it. Eun-gyeol opened the door and stepped outside, but he realized the world outside had changed. He picked up a newspaper and saw that it was 1995. Just then, a boy approached him. He looked at the name tag on his chest and saw the word Yichan. Eun-gyeol was shocked to discover that the boy in front of him was his dad, but much younger. Not only could he speak, but he even invited Eun-gyeol to join his band. This was Yichan, Eun-gyeol's dad, now a goofy 18-year-old high school student. Yichan had a dream of being a musician, and he had a crush on Se-kyung, the school's it girl. Se-kyung also loved music. To win her heart, Yichan publicly invited her to the school's anniversary celebration. He promised that his band would dedicate a special performance to her. Se-kyung agreed, with cheers from the crowd, but with one condition: if Yichan didn't keep his promise, he would never be allowed to see her again. Yichan instantly agreed. In return, if he could fulfill his promise, he wanted to be her boyfriend. Se-kyung smirked. She was sure Yichan wouldn't be able to keep his promise. She held his hand, examining it for any sign of playing an instrument. Plus, she knew the songs she wanted to hear were very difficult to play. She then walked away, wanting to avoid him for the time being. But she underestimated Yichan. To get the chance to become Se-kyung's boyfriend, he appointed his best friend as his manager and quickly recruited band members. The only problem was that Yichan couldn't play any instruments. The band members were immediately disheartened and wanted to quit. Yichan promised to find a great guitarist to join the band. The band members suggested Dongjin, a guitar prodigy. To find Dongjin, Yichan posted an ad online, promising 3 meals a day and free accommodation if Dongjin was willing to join the band. He thought he was looking for a needle in a haystack, so he wasn't hopeful. But then, he received a reply from Dongjin. Dongjin was worried because he didn't have a stable life in Seoul and could pursue his career. He immediately accepted the offer to join the band. When they met, Yichan, in his school uniform, went to the agreed-upon location, as Dongjin requested. Dongjin, holding a school newspaper, was waiting for Yichan to recognize him. While waiting, Dongjin suddenly felt a stomachache and ran to the bathroom, accidentally bumping into Eun-gyeol, who had time traveled. Eun-gyeol picked up the newspaper that Dongjin dropped and was stunned to realize he had landed in 1995. He was confused, still trying to wrap his head around everything when Yichan appeared. Yichan mistook Eun-gyeol for Dongjin. Looking at the name tag on Yichan's chest, Eun-gyeol couldn't believe that his father could speak when he was younger. He instinctively ran towards his dad, hugging his face, and then confirmed his birthday and family details. Everything matched. He was sure this was his father. He had so many questions about why his dad could talk when he was young, and why he was forming a band. But the most important question was about his mom. Yi-chan was scared by Eun-gyeol's behavior, and quickly tried to distract him and ran away. Eun-gyeol angrily chased after him. To get close to Yi-chan, Eun-gyeol lied, saying he was Dong-jin. He even knew Dong-jin's birthday, the school he attended, and everything about music. Everything he said was in the interview with Dong-jin in the newspaper. Eun-gyeol's fluent answers dispelled Yi-chan's suspicions. He welcomed Eun-gyeol into the band. To be closer, Yi-chan asked Eun-gyeol to call him little brother. But Eun-gyeol knew Yi-chan was his father, so he reluctantly called him brother. Yi-chan, of course, called him Senior Dong-jin. Yi-chan formally introduced the new member, Dong-jin, to the band. But the band members had seen Dong-jin's performance before. They could tell it was fake. They thought Yi-chan was trying to pull a fast one, so they beat them up and left. Yi-chan grabbed Eun-gyeol by the collar and asked him why he lied. Eun-gyeol, from their conversation, realized his dad was forming the band to chase Se-kyung. He scolded his dad for cheating on his mom at the age of 18, and even said his mom's name was Chung-ah. Chung-ah was silently listening to music. Her train of thought was interrupted when Se-kyung came by to return some clothes. Chung-ah had unknowingly helped Se-kyung when she got her clothes wet and lent her some new clothes. Se-kyung was curious and couldn't understand why Chung-ah was always wearing headphones. Chung-ah took off her headphones and put them on Se-kyung's ears, tapping on the table a few times. That's when Se-kyung understood that Chung-ah was listening to the rhythm. Se-kyung wrote a note to Chung-ah, asking if she liked the band. Chung-ah replied that she did. She then asked Se-kyung if she liked Yi-chan because she had seen him confessing to Se-kyung earlier that morning. Se-kyung replied with a clear no. Just then, a classmate came over and called Chung-ah to the teacher's office. A girl in their class had copied Chung-ah's artwork. The teacher called them both in and wanted the girl to admit that she had copied. But the girl seemed annoyed and insisted that she had been treated unfairly. Because she refused to admit it, the teacher gave their paintings back, saying that controversial works weren't allowed to enter the competition. Back in class, the girl complained that it was because of Chung-ah that she couldn't enter the competition. She accused Chung-ah of blocking her future and of using special connections to get into the school. After all, Chung-ah's stepmother was the principal. Chung-ah was furious. She stood up and used a knife to scratch her painting, then destroyed the girl's painting. The girls got angry and pulled her hair, and it caused chaos in the classroom. Meanwhile, Eun-gyeol was still upset about his dad forming a band to chase another woman. To him, it was a betrayal of his mother. He searched everywhere for the music store that had sent him back in time, but no one he asked had ever heard of it. Then he remembered that when he sold the guitar, the owner gave him a receipt and told him not to lose it. He immediately pulled the receipt out of his pocket and called the number on it. Unfortunately, the number didn't work. He was furious and yelled in frustration. He hadn't eaten anything all day and was starving. He wanted to buy some fried rice cakes with the money he got for selling the guitar. But paper money from modern times wasn't accepted in 1995. The harsh reality struck him hard. He dug through his pockets and found some coins, sorting out the ones that were still usable. He was finally able to buy a cup of instant noodles to fill his stomach. That night, he slept under a bridge. The cold reality made him miss his parents dearly. He realized he knew very little about them. Why was his dad deaf? Why was his mom an orphan? He hadn't thought about it or tried to find out. Just as he was lost in thought, a ringing sound caught his attention. He ran outside to check and saw that the sound was coming from a nearby phone booth. He picked up the phone, and the owner's voice came from the other side. He was eager to ask for directions back, but the owner said he had to figure it out on his own. The next morning, Eun-gyeol woke up, holding his shoes, and realized the phone call was just a dream. He also realized that he needed to find out why he came here and how to go back. Just then, Yi-chan got news that Dong-jin had filed a lawsuit for fraud. Yi-chan wanted to cry, but no tears came. He promised to find new band members within a week. As he was leaving, Eun-gyeol appeared and blocked his way. Eun-gyeol wanted to join Yi-chan's band, but he was angry and ignored him. Eun-gyeol wouldn't give up. He followed Yi-chan. They ran to the front of a different school. Yi-chan happened to run into a friend. To escape Eun-gyeol, he took his friend's school uniform and ran into the school, hiding. Eun-gyeol didn't have a uniform, so he could only wait outside the gate. Yi-chan entered the school grounds and ran into a rival from his high school days. He quickly went into hiding. He found the storage room and hid there, managing to escape. When he turned around, he saw Chung-ah in the corner and screamed in fear. His scream alerted his enemies who were searching outside. Yi-chan calmed himself down and quickly stopped Chung-ah from making any noise. Meanwhile, Eun-gyeol had been waiting outside the gate for a long time. He saw Se-kyung coming out of the school. He recognized her as the daughter of the music store owner. She heard him calling her miss and thought he was like Yi-chan, using vulgar language to flirt with her. Yi-chan, who was hiding in the storage room, finally escaped his pursuers. To thank Chang-ah, he introduced himself in a silly way. Surprisingly, no matter what he said, Chang-ah remained silent. She was there because her friend had copied her artwork and locked her in there. Yi-chan saw that Chang-ah had a cut on her forehead. He took off his tie and used it to bandage her. As she looked at the tie, a terrible memory flashed in her mind, causing her to bite Yi-chan's hand. Yi-chan's scream alerted the gym teacher. He sent someone to get the key, and he frantically banged on the door to see what was happening inside. But when he opened the door, they were gone, having slipped out through another door. Unfortunately, Yi-chan forgot his friend's school uniform in the storage room. They ran frantically through the schoolyard, hand in hand. Yi-chan's bright smile and warm hand gave Chang-ah, who always lived in silence, a feeling of freedom and excitement for the first time. The further they ran, the further they got away. When they were safe, Yi-chan asked Chang-ah's name, but she still didn't speak. He reached out to flip her name tag to see her name clearly. Chang-ah instinctively twisted his arm. She didn't want anyone near her. Yi-chan, not fazed, left a piece of paper for her with his phone number, telling her to send him a distress signal if she needed anything. Eun-gyeol, who had been waiting outside, struck up a conversation with Se-kyung. This time he asked her about her dad. He admitted that her dad was the one who taught him guitar. He was the best guitarist he knew. Se-kyung's expression changed when she heard this. She asked who he was. Eun-gyeol explained that he used to run a music store. That was when he was learning guitar. Se-kyung struggled to recognize him, insisting that her dad was a physics professor and had never owned a business. The father she was referring to was her adoptive father, and the music store owner Eun-gyeol mentioned was her real dad. She suspected that Eun-gyeol had been sent by her real father to keep an eye on her. It turned out that Se-kyung, who everyone envied, had a difficult life. When she was young, she loved to sing and dance. She wanted to shine on stage. She thought her life would be all about chasing those dreams. But one day, she accidentally opened a room full of secrets. Inside, she saw a family photo of 3 people and the cello she was playing. Then, she realized that she was adopted and was brought in to comfort her adoptive parents after their daughter had passed away. She was meant to replace their real daughter. She gave up her dream of shining on stage and learned to play the cello, a skill her adoptive daughter excelled at. As she grew older, her real father would occasionally come to see her perform. He would also secretly send her flowers to congratulate her. But for Se-kyung, being abandoned by her real father was unforgivable. Hearing Eun-gyeol mention her real dad brought back painful memories and made her heart ache even more. Se-kyung lost control and yelled. At that moment, Yi-chan ran over. Se-kyung asked them if they knew each other. Eun-gyeol and Yi-chan didn't answer in unison. One knew, the other didn't. Se-kyung thought they were in cahoots and warned them not to show their faces to her again. Yi-chan refused to give up. He ran after her to her house. Yi-chan solemnly told Se-kyung that he would form a band as promised and dedicate a special performance to her. Eun-gyeol watched them from afar. When Yi-chan found out, he convinced Yi-chan to give up on Se-kyung. After all, she would eventually marry someone else and have a beautiful daughter who would live a better life. Yi-chan thought Eun-gyeol was competing with him and asked him who he was. He questioned why Eun-gyeol had been getting in his way since they met. Eun-gyeol looked intently at his young father. All he could think was, "I'm your son." Yi-chan couldn't handle Eun-gyeol's affectionate gaze. To escape, he immediately started running. Once again, they were playing a game of chase. Yi-chan ran home, and Eun-gyeol chased after him. Eun-gyeol saw Yi-chan's grandmother, angry about her grandson's grades. Eun-gyeol happened to pick up a piece of paper on the ground and realized Yi-chan's grades were so bad, he couldn't even imagine. To appease his grandmother, Yi-chan asked Eun-gyeol to pretend to be his tutor. Eun-gyeol immediately agreed and put on a show for his grandmother. Even though she was old, his grandmother was sharp. To confirm Eun-gyeol's identity, she gave him a test. Luckily, Eun-gyeol was also a top student. He not only finished the test ahead of time, but also answered every question correctly. All her doubts vanished, and she asked Eun-gyeol to help Yi-chan get good grades. She also prepared a grand feast for everyone to enjoy. Eun-gyeol was overflowing with happiness. He never imagined his deaf father would have such a joyful time. He was curious about why his dad was deaf. That night, as Yi-chan snored, Eun-gyeol thought back to his childhood. He, his dad, and his brother were taking a bath together. He saw a scar on his dad's back and asked where it came from. His dad casually replied that he'd been injured. The next day, after Eun-gyeol woke up, he got a call from Yi-chan telling him to bring his school uniform. Eun-gyeol entered the school and saw a sign leading to his dad's music practice room. He followed the signs. In the practice room, he saw a familiar guitar on the floor. He picked it up and began to play skillfully. Yi-chan heard the music and ran toward it, but Eun-gyeol was already gone. A classmate who had witnessed Eun-gyeol playing told him he wasn't a student there, but he was very handsome. Yi-chan and his friends split into 2 groups to search. He vowed to find this handsome stranger who wasn't a student at their school. But Yi Chan had only taken a few steps when he bumped into Eun-gyeol. He dragged Yi Chan to the classroom and stood at the door, making sure he studied diligently. When school was over, Yi Chan was working part-time at a convenience store. He unexpectedly received a concert ticket. The note inside said, "See you at the concert tonight at 8." The sender was Se-kyung. Yi Chan was instantly overjoyed. He shoved Eun-gyeol aside and ran outside. It turned out that the ticket was actually sent by Chung-ah. She and Se-kyung were good friends. Se-kyung told Chung-ah that she was going abroad and gave her a concert ticket, telling her to be there on time. Chung-ah was drawing a watermelon in her art class. This reminded her of her first encounter with Yi Chan. He had tried his best to stop a book from falling on her. That accidental encounter stirred up a storm in Chung-ah's heart. She didn't want to get in the way of Yi Chan's feelings, so she gave him the ticket. But by the time Yi Chan breathlessly arrived, the concert was over. He shouted Se-kyung's name and thanked her for the invitation. Se-kyung was surprised and again insisted to Yi Chan that she had not sent him a ticket. Se-kyung, not wanting Yi Chan to bother her, said he didn't really love music, he was just trying to impress her. Eun-gyeol, listening to this, wanted to save face for Yi Chan. He introduced himself as the guitarist for Yi Chan's band. In front of everyone, he pulled Yi Chan onto the stage and turned on the lights. Eun-gyeol's guitar playing stunned the crowd. Immediately after, Yi Chan started to keep time and sing along. They blended perfectly and received enthusiastic applause from the audience. At the end of the performance, Yi Chan formally invited Eun-gyeol to join the band. Eun-gyeol didn't understand Yi Chan's persistence in forming the band. Yi Chan said it was his last chance at youth. After graduation, he wouldn't go to college. He would go to work and make money. So, he wanted to live a vibrant life. At that moment, Yi Chan saw a boy running after a balloon and went to help him retrieve it. He didn't see the speeding car. Eun-gyeol rushed forward, grabbed Yi Chan, and pulled him aside. In his memory, Eun-gyeol had seen a scar on his dad's back, and it seemed that something unexpected had happened in the future, preventing his dad from speaking. Seizing the chance to go back in time, Eun-gyeol wanted to change his father's future. He wanted to prevent the accident that had made him deaf and mute. While protecting Yi Chan, Eun-gyeol told him to take care of himself. In the coming days, he will pay more attention to Yi Chan. Seeing the eagerness in Eun-gyeol's eyes, Yi Chan misunderstood his intentions, thinking he had bad thoughts about his body. He couldn't bear Eun-gyeol's gaze. He screamed and moved away. They went back to his grandmother's house. Thinking about changing his father's fate, Eun-gyeol had no choice but to keep a close eye on him. Eun-gyeol told Yi Chan that he would help him form an amazing band, but the condition was that Yi Chan couldn't leave his sight for a year. To make Yi Chan agree to his terms, Eun-gyeol and the famous guitarist who had left the band before had a talent competition. The rule was an impromptu performance, and whoever won would take their two bandmates and rejoin Yi Chan's band. They were evenly matched in the first round. Then the guitarist showed off his skills in the second round, thinking he had won. But then Eun-gyeol's talent shone through. He performed all the techniques flawlessly in one go. The applause was thunderous, and the guitarist surrendered, agreeing to join the band. With 3 new members, the first Love Memories band was formed, but new problems arose. The 3 new members didn't recognize Yi Chan's musical talent. They demanded that the lead singer be able to play an instrument. Yi Chan had to pass their 3 high-note tests. To convince them, Yi Chan went to a karaoke bar to show off his voice. While singing, he kept hitting high notes and screaming until his lungs hurt. He couldn't breathe and collapsed onto the table. Of course, Yi Chan couldn't meet the demands of the new members. He was discouraged, even thinking about reincarnation. He ran towards the window, but Eun-gyeol, afraid, immediately rushed forward to stop him. To help his young dad regain confidence, Eun-gyeol decided to teach Yi Chan step by step. It didn't matter if it was the guitar or forming the band, but the condition was that Yi Chan had to go to college. Yi Chan's grandmother secretly visited Eun-gyeol and gave him a red envelope to thank him for tutoring Yi Chan. She also told him that she had faith in Yi Chan. Initially, Yi Chan's grades were excellent, but he didn't want his grandmother to work too hard, which is why he became the way he was. He lied about not being interested in school and wanting to make money. Her only wish in life was to see Yi Chan graduate with his cap and gown. Eun-gyeol's eyes welled up with tears. He told Yi Chan about his grandmother's wish and promised to help him with his studies until he got accepted into college. Yi Chan didn't understand why Eun-gyeol was so kind to him, helping him save face in front of Se-kyung, forming a band, teaching him guitar, and tutoring him. Thinking about everything Eun-gyeol had done for him, he was curious. Clearly, they weren't related. Eun-gyeol replied that in his past life, Yi Chan had saved him many times. In his mind, he remembered his dad rushing into the fire to save him and pulling him out of the water. Eun-gyeol couldn't tell Yi Chan all this. All he could do was oversee Yi Chan's studies. Changing Yi Chan's fate was the most important thing. Eun-gyeol took Yi Chan's hand and said, "This is our first day." He was referring to their tutoring sessions, but Yi-chan misinterpreted his words. He tried to escape, but he couldn't get away from Eun-gyeol. Soon, the sound of lecturing came from inside the room. His grandmother started to cry when she saw this scene from outside the door. The next day, Eun-gyeol went to the bookstore. He accidentally passed Chong-ah. Chong-ah came to this bookstore often. No matter how much she thought about it, the scene of Yi-chan heroically saving the damsel in distress always made her blush and her heart race. She turned around and saw Eun-gyeol enter. Strangely, Eun-gyeol looked like Yi-chan to her. Chong-ah didn't know that the boy in front of her was his future son. As Eun-gyeol and Chong-ah passed each other, he felt a sense of familiarity. He didn't know that Chong-ah was the mother he was searching for. Leaving the bookstore, Eun-gyeol got good news. The band had secured the closing act for the school anniversary. He also learned that Se-kyung was going to study abroad. Eun-gyeol was afraid Yi-chan would be upset, so he decided to keep it a secret from him. But at dinner, someone brought up Se-kyung, and Yi-chan swore that she would definitely come to see his performance. Eun-gyeol and Yi-chan's friend came up with different reasons to make Yi-chan focus on band practice. Yi-chan was convinced to suppress his desire to see Se-kyung again, and he began to devote his time to practicing the guitar. Yi-chan practiced diligently, but he still couldn't improve. Eun-gyeol taught him to feel it with his heart. With genuine emotion, the guitar would return that same feeling. If you could move the audience, that was the best music. Yi-chan gradually began to improve, but what was meant to be would always happen. When he went to school, Yi-chan overheard a classmate talking about Se-kyung going to study abroad. He couldn't accept this harsh reality. But everything took a turn. Se-kyung, who had only been overseas for a few days, returned. This time, she had put away her trophy and cut her long hair, deciding to completely let go of her mother's expectations and live authentically. Se-kyung set up a stall on the street, selling clothes she no longer wore. Eun-gyeol approached her and asked why she was back. She saw a city management officer approaching and made a deal. If Eun-gyeol helped her pack up her stuff, she would tell him. To prevent Se-kyung and Yi-chan from getting together and becoming a hindrance to his parents' love, Eun-gyeol eagerly helped her. Once they reached a safe place, Eun-gyeol scolded Se-kyung. She shouldn't give Yi-chan hope, and then let him down again. Se-kyung also explained why she came back. After she went to America, she found out that her father was having an affair. Her mother drank all the time because of it. She escaped to Korea to get away from it all. But she hoped Eun-gyeol would keep her return a secret. In her current state, Se-kyung didn't even dare to live. She didn't want to be involved with anyone. Yi-chan, oblivious to the fact that his goddess was so close, was playing the guitar and singing alone in the practice room, feeling lonely. The scenes of his encounters with Se-kyung flashed through his mind. His singing was full of emotion. The other band members were touched by his performance. They realized Yi-chan's hidden talent, but since Se-kyung was gone, he had no interest in the band. When he went to work part-time at a juice bar, Yi-chan and Chong-ah passed each other. He was feeling down and didn't want to talk to anyone until his boss told him that the person who had left the invitation was Chong-ah. At that moment, Yi-chan realized that he had been a complete clown in front of Se-kyung. He took the invitation and the note and asked Chong-ah why she did this. Chong-ah didn't have an explanation. All she could do was run away, but she couldn't hear the horns blaring from behind her. Yi-chan quickly pulled her aside with lightning speed. Escaping the danger, Yi-chan got increasingly angry. He asked Chong-ah, "Are you trying to get run over? Are your ears just for decoration? Are you deaf?" Chong-ah understood Yi-chan's questions through his lip movements. She walked away in silence. Yi-chan couldn't help but complain to his boss when he went back to the store. Then, he found out from his boss that Chong-ah was deaf and mute. Chong-ah leaned against the phone booth and cried. It seemed like heaven was taking pity on her. Suddenly, it started to rain heavily. Yi-chan remembered his hurtful words and felt guilty. He went to find Chong-ah. An umbrella appeared in front of him. The person holding it turned out to be Se-kyung, who he had been pining for. Meanwhile, Eun-gyeol was still thinking about Se-kyung in the real world. She had clearly come home after receiving news of her father's death. Why was she back after only a few days abroad? What happened? To prevent Se-kyung from becoming a barrier to his parents' love, he needed to find his mom as soon as possible. He remembered his father saying that it was a chance encounter with his mom in sign language class. If his dad had avoided that accident, he wouldn't have lost his hearing. But then, he wouldn't have gone to the sign language class and met his mom. And then, Eun-gyeol and his brother wouldn't have been born. Just as Eun-gyeol was struggling with this complicated situation, he saw Chong-ah, drenched in the rain. He didn't even realize the girl in front of him was his mother. Out of kindness, he gave her his umbrella and ran in the rain to find Yi-chan. Chong-ah didn't want to wait any longer. She wanted to explain everything to Yi-chan. She wanted to tell him all about her experiences, from her childhood to adulthood. Chong-ah wasn't always cold like this. When she was young, she had a loving and protective mother. Her mother gently taught her sign language and how to express her love and feelings. But those good times ended the summer after her mother was forced to leave. Her stepmother moved in, and from then on, Chang-ah endured torture, being locked in a small, dark room many times, which made her defensive and withdrawn. She never did anything to anyone until she happened to be by the window of that dark, small room and saw Yi Chan crashing the party. He ruined the party, making her stepmother furious. Chang-ah was amused by Yi Chan's actions. For the first time, she smiled. Chang-ah didn't know that Yi Chan had come with Se-kyung because he thought Se-kyung was engaged to her stepmother's son, so he crashed the party. Chang-ah never forgot Yi Chan, thinking it was just a chance encounter in a sea of people. But when Yi Chan saved her at the bookstore, she suddenly believed that their encounter was fate. She secretly started observing Yi Chan's life. She even bought a t-shirt that was exactly like Yi Chan's. Unfortunately, she had lent it to Se-kyung to wear. Everything went off track from that moment. Seeing the shirt on Se-kyung, Yi Chan became even more convinced that she was the girl for him. He launched into a crazy pursuit of Se-kyung. Chang-ah wondered if she had been wearing that t-shirt, would things have been different? Now, she wanted to tell Yi Chan that she had loved him from the first time they met. She didn't expect fate to play such a trick on her. She saw Se-kyung standing in front of Yi Chan. Chang-ah threw her umbrella to the ground, turned around, and walked away in the rain. Yi Chan saw Chang-ah. To make amends for his mistake, he asked Se-kyung to wait for him. He rushed after Chang-ah, but she was too upset to pay attention to him. She got in a taxi and left. After Chang-ah left, Yi Chan picked up a watermelon keychain that Chang-ah accidentally dropped on the ground. Se-kyung was left standing alone in the crowded street. Eun-gyeol walked up to her and asked why she didn't keep her promise and stayed away from Yi Chan. Surprisingly, Se-kyung reacted differently this time. She expressed her thoughts. She didn't mean to tease Yi Chan. She wanted to get to know him. Eun-gyeol felt that Se-kyung had changed. She wasn't the distant girl she used to be. After Yi Chan came back, Se-kyung spoke her mind. She wanted to try to understand Yi Chan. The bet they made before still stood. Yi Chan didn't expect love to strike so quickly. He was overjoyed and revealed his feelings for Se-kyung. Going home that night, Yi Chan told his friends about Se-kyung's change, and he was basking in their congratulations and encouragement. Eun-gyeol secretly watched this scene. The image of Se-kyung in the present flashed through his mind. The Se-kyung of the present and the past were different. He couldn't figure out why Se-kyung had changed. He suddenly remembered her saying she came back to find a chance. Eun-gyeol was worried that Se-kyung would do something reckless, so he immediately ran to her house. He looked around the door. Luckily, Se-kyung was just returning home. Seeing her safe and sound, Eun-gyeol was relieved. He turned around and left. Se-kyung opened the door, and there was a rope hanging in the middle of the room. Yi Chan's mood was different from Se-kyung's. The scent of love filled Yi Chan with the energy of spring. Their band also started their first official practice. Eun-gyeol watched Yi Chan singing with passion. His father's face in the real world popped up in his mind. He had never imagined that his deaf father, ravaged by time, had such a bright youth. After practice, Se-kyung took the initiative to find Yi Chan and invited the whole group to an amusement park. Eun-gyeol couldn't stand his dad liking another girl, so he declined Se-kyung's invitation. But he hadn't taken a few steps when he heard Yi Chan planning to do a backflip on the pirate ship. To prevent Yi Chan from getting injured, Eun-gyeol quickly turned around and asked to go along. To protect Yi Chan and protect his parents' love, Eun-gyeol followed Yi Chan closely. He held Yi Chan's arm tightly on the pirate ship. When they were playing bumper cars, he intentionally got in between Yi Chan and Se-kyung. While rowing a boat, he purposely squeezed into the seat behind Yi Chan. Even when they were taking pictures, he had to separate Yi Chan and Se-kyung. Se-kyung noticed Eun-gyeol's hostile attitude towards her and called him aside, asking why he was so overprotective of Yi Chan. Eun-gyeol reminded her not to like Yi Chan because Yi Chan's partner was someone else. It was someone who cherished him more than anyone else. Unexpectedly, Eun-gyeol's words made Se-kyung think he liked Yi Chan. Eun-gyeol tried to explain, but Yi Chan, who was standing next to them, slipped on a banana peel. Eun-gyeol was worried that Yi Chan would get hurt and ran to hug him. Eun-gyeol's behavior embarrassed Yi Chan in front of his crush. He angrily asked Eun-gyeol what his motive was, and why he always wanted to get in his way. Eun-gyeol couldn't explain everything, so he could only repeat his previous condition. He would keep an eye on Yi Chan for a year. The two of them were eavesdropped on by their friends. They understood and respected their decision and pretended not to see what happened. To clear up the misunderstanding before going home, Eun-gyeol explained to Se-kyung that he didn't have any feelings for Yi Chan. He also had a secret that he couldn't tell her yet. Se-kyung had a wild imagination, so she suspected that Eun-gyeol liked her, and she leaned toward him. This made Eun-gyeol stammer. He turned away in discomfort. The next day, the band started practice. Yi Chan suddenly suggested changing the song. He had consulted with Se-kyung and got her approval. The band members agreed, but Eun-gyeol raised his hand in protest. With the performance just a month away, they couldn't disrupt everyone's momentum just because of Se-kyung. But Yi-chan was adamant about doing what Se-kyung wanted. He was convinced that Se-kyung had come back for him. No matter what, he would fulfill her wishes. Eun-gyeol was angry at Yi-chan's delusion and stormed out of the band in anger. That night, Eun-gyeol fell asleep in front of the supermarket, and the owner woke him up. He got up and left. Strange things happened. The light bulb next to him flickered, and the phone booth rang. Eun-gyeol quickly answered the call. It was the music store owner who had asked him to time travel. Eun-gyeol asked him how to go back, but the owner told him that while he was time traveling, the real world had changed significantly. Eun-gyeol understood immediately. Se-kyung's unexpected return, people who should have been broken up getting back together, all of this was caused by him. He wanted to fix everything and let things unfold as they should. The owner reminded him that he had already given him a hint. Then he hung up. Eun-gyeol immediately searched his pockets for clues. He found a flyer advertising a guitar audition. The audition was the next day. The next day, the organizers were setting up the stage. The assistant told the owner that there would be a drizzle in the afternoon, so they should move the event indoors. The owner had his own ideas and insisted on sticking to the original plan. Eun-gyeol went to the audition site to check things out. He accidentally picked up a contestant's ticket from the ground. He was mistaken for a participant and invited inside. Eun-gyeol entered the electric guitar audition and was struck by lightning. Then, he was taken to the hospital. At the same moment, Se-kyung heard a ringing from a public phone booth marked out of order. She picked up the phone. On the other end was the music store owner, the same one who had time-traveled her here. It turned out that the Se-kyung in the present was Yoon-yu, Se-kyung's daughter. Her mother had ignored her wishes and forced her to play the cello since she was a child. Yoon-yu tried to break free, but she couldn't escape her mother's control. She often felt like a piece of jewelry placed in a box. The only way she could get her mother's fleeting smile and affection was by winning first place in music competitions. This was the value of her existence. Most of the time, Yoon-yu went through those frustrating and difficult emotions alone. Only when she was with her father did she have moments of relaxation and joy. Unfortunately, her parents had divorced long ago. When she returned home with her mother for her grandfather's funeral, her mother told her she had longed for a complete family since she was young. But that wish hadn't come true. Now Yoon-yu was her only family. She hoped her daughter would never leave her. Yoon-yu nodded, understanding. At that time, she didn't know what it meant. But when she turned 18, her mother brought Yoon-yu to her grandfather's music store. Her mother, increasingly disappointed in her failed marriage and shattered dreams, vowed to make Yoon-yu fulfill her dream. She wanted her to be a beautiful cellist. That's how she could make other people envious. Yoon-yu had been accommodating since she was a child. She had heard her mother brag about her glorious youth, related to Yi-chan countless times. When her mother was drunk, she often regretted not marrying and having children. She claimed she would have become world famous as a cellist, unlike now, where she was just an ordinary woman. Yoon-yu could no longer bear living under her mother's control and in her shadow. In a fit of anger, she went abroad to find her father, but she didn't expect that he had a new family. With nowhere to go, she wandered the streets. She was almost hurt by some thugs. Yoon-yu was sad and cried. She wondered why she was even born. At that moment, her shadow split into two, and the moon in the sky also split in two. There was a music store in front of her. She went into the music store and sold her cello, wanting to start a new journey, or simply disappear from this world. The owner treated Yoon-yu like he had treated Eun-gyeol, handing her a receipt and telling her to keep it safe. Yoon-yu left under the owner's supervision. She never expected that the world outside would change. She had actually time-traveled to 1995 as Se-kyung, her own mother. During this time, she had a good relationship with Yi-chan and the band members. Then she received a call from the music store owner. Yoon-yu told him she had a new idea. She wanted to bring her mother and her first love together. That way, her mother could live a happy life, and she wouldn't have been born. The root of all pain would have been resolved. She remembered her mother's description of her first love. He was not only a band member, but also someone who really loved spicy food. Then, Yoon-yu began to find her target. She treated the band members to the spiciest food. The people in front of her were sweating and breathing fire. They definitely weren't the one she was looking for. Finally, only Yi-chan and Eun-gyeol were left to test. She had always misunderstood that Eun-gyeol liked men, so he was naturally eliminated. The next day, Yoon-yu invited Yi-chan to dinner. She tasted the spiciness of the food and her tongue immediately started to burn, but Yi-chan didn't change his expression. This made her certain that her mother's first love was Yi-chan. As Yoon-yu prepared to put her plan in motion, a memory surfaced. She had asked Eun-gyeol if he liked her. For some reason, she felt flustered around him. Meanwhile, Eun-gyeol was experiencing a tense rescue. As the doctors were administering electric shocks, his consciousness kept calling out to his parents. He longed to return to them once more. Chang-ah, feverish on her way home, happened to run into Yi Chan, who was returning the keychain. She immediately fainted. Yi Chan rushed her to the hospital. When Chung-ah woke up in the hospital, Yi Chan had written a letter apologizing for his previous attitude. Chung-ah reminded herself that Yi Chan was only being kind to her, not truly friendly. She left the hospital directly while Yi Chan was processing her discharge. When he returned to her room, he saw a note left by Chung-ah. She explained the concert ticket and the invitation. She only wanted to fulfill Yi Chan's wish, but she didn't know that there was a letter Se-kyung had written to her. That was why there was that misunderstanding. Yi Chan recalled his insults to Chung-ah, and he felt even more embarrassed. Then he ran to find her and invited her to have dinner with him. He wrote down his number for Chung-ah and told her to call if she had any problems. Chung-ah felt incredibly happy. The door to her heart, which had been closed, was now open. When they went home, Yi Chan suddenly remembered what Eun-gyeol had said. He had said that Yi Chan must like Chung-ah. Although Yi Chan didn't know why he had said that, he still asked Chung-ah if she knew Eun-gyeol. Chung-ah replied no. The next day, something strange happened. The nurse discovered that Eun-gyeol, who had been in the hospital room, suddenly disappeared. Yi Chan didn't know that Eun-gyeol had been in an accident. At first, he thought he was just in trouble and would be back soon. But 2 days went by, and he still hadn't seen him. A lodger told Yi Chan that Eun-gyeol had been working part-time. He had been taking on any job, whether it was college homework or other tasks. Yi Chan thought Eun-gyeol was obsessed with money, but the lodger told Yi Chan the real reason. He wanted to buy Yi Chan a guitar. He was trying to help Yi Chan shine because this was his last chance at youth. Yi Chan couldn't stay calm. Since they'd met, Eun-gyeol had tutored him, helped him form a band, and prevented any dangers from coming his way. The concert was approaching, and no one knew where Eun-gyeol was. The other band members were in favor of getting a new guitarist, but Yi Chan was adamant about waiting for Eun-gyeol to return. It was a gift Eun-gyeol had given himself. He wanted to shine on stage with him. Yi Chan began to put up missing person notices everywhere. One day, someone called Yi Chan, saying they knew where Eun-gyeol was. Yi Chan excitedly rushed to the meeting place. Chung-ah was about to buy a phone when she saw Yi Chan running away. She followed him. But because she couldn't hear the sound of the cars, she almost got hit. She lost track of Yi Chan. When Yi Chan arrived at the meeting place, he realized it was a gang that specialized in scamming people. Not only did they not know where Eun-gyeol was, they even tried to rob Yi Chan and take his money. In the crisis, Yi Chan heard Eun-gyeol's voice. He struggled to open his eyes and saw Eun-gyeol's worried face right in front of him. But when he blinked, Eun-gyeol disappeared. Yi Chan struggled to stand. His memories with Eun-gyeol came flooding back. He realized that he had lost the most important person. He shouted Eun-gyeol's name loudly. Meanwhile, Eun-gyeol quietly opened his eyes. He was standing on the street with his guitar. Everything on the street looked familiar. He asked a passerby what year it was. The person told him it was 2023. It was then that he realized he had actually time-traveled back without any warning. Eun-gyeol rushed home and saw his dad and brother getting dinner ready. His mom wasn't home yet. Eun-gyeol hugged his dad and brother with excitement. Luckily, nothing had changed. He summarized his experience during this period as a dream and told his dad and brother that he didn't like his dad at 18. He said that his dad always made him worry. He was constantly chasing the schools at girl in a crazy way. His dad quickly denied it and said his wife was his first love. He never liked anyone else but her. While they were talking, his mom came home. Eun-gyeol wanted to tell her about it. The moment he saw his mom, he was completely shocked. The mother in front of him was Se-kyung. Eun-gyeol couldn't believe it. He remembered the music store owner telling him that the real world had changed while he was time traveling. Seeing his dad and Se-kyung standing side by side, Eun-gyeol stepped back and yelled that it was impossible. The next moment, he suddenly opened his eyes and woke up. He realized he was still in 1995. In front of him was a strange room. He walked out and saw a family picture hanging in the hallway. Chung-ah, the girl he had given the umbrella to, was in the photo, and her father was the president of a music company. Just then, Chung-ah's stepson appeared and explained why Eun-gyeol was there. After Eun-gyeol got struck by lightning, the organizers found out he wasn't a participant invited to the competition. To understand Eun-gyeol's purpose, and to avoid hurting the company's reputation, he brought Eun-gyeol home. Eun-gyeol wanted to leave, but to avoid any future disputes, they forced him to sign a contract. Eun-gyeol had no choice but to sign the agreement and leave Chung-ah's house. He happened to run into Chung-ah on her way home. She looked very sad. She had actually chased after Yi Chan and saw him lying unconscious on the street. Chung-ah wanted to scream for help, but couldn't make a sound. She sought help from passers-by, but they didn't know what she was trying to express. At that crucial moment, she saw Eun-yu, who was in Se-kyung's body. She pulled Eun-yu over to Yi Chan. Seeing Eun-yu shout for help and dial 911, Chung-ah felt helpless. After confirming that Yi Chan had been rescued, she turned around and left. As she got home, She accidentally ran into Eun-gyeol at her house. Eun-gyeol saw Chung-ah's student ID and knew that the girl in front of him was his mother. He immediately chased after her, but the security guard blocked him from entering. Eun-gyeol tried to escape the security guard and rushed in, tearing up the contract he had just signed with her stepson. He got angry and punched Eun-gyeol in the face. Eun-gyeol pretended to faint and then was taken to the guest room to rest. When Chung-ah's stepson left, he got up and thought about his mother's family relationships. Suddenly, there was a loud argument outside. Chung-ah's stepdaughter came home and saw Chung-ah. She thought Chung-ah was blocking her way, so she shoved her, causing her to fall. She saw the watermelon keychain in Chung-ah's coat pocket and snatched it. Although Chung-ah was silent about everything else, this keychain was special because it was given back to her by Yi-chan. Chung-ah rushed to grab it. She grabbed her stepsister's hair, and the two girls immediately started fighting. Their stepmother came back and yelled at them to stop. Her stepdaughter spoke first. She lied, saying the keychain was a gift from Se-kyung to her. Chung-ah insisted on taking it back. Their stepmother grabbed the keychain and threw it to the ground. Chung-ah screamed. As she struggled, she bit her stepmother's hand, which made her furious. She was about to hit her again, but Eun-gyeol stopped her. He signed to Chung-ah, asking if she was hurt. His action was stopped by her stepmother. Sign language was forbidden in this house. As they were arguing, Chung-ah's father returned. Eun-gyeol knew why his grandfather had forbidden his mother to learn sign language. His grandfather was a high-ranking official, and he didn't want others to know that he had a disabled daughter. To change Chung-ah's situation at home, Eun-gyeol negotiated with her grandfather. If he wanted to resolve the lightning strike dispute completely, he had to agree to let Eun-gyeol teach Chung-ah sign language. After successfully persuading her grandfather, Eun-gyeol began teaching sign language. He told Chung-ah that his name was Eun-gyeol, which meant a child with a clear voice, a pure child. This was the name his mother had given him. But Eun-gyeol never expected that his mother had had such a miserable childhood. Eun-gyeol was heartbroken and couldn't hold back his tears. Meanwhile, Yi-chan had to be hospitalized for observation. He became the life of the party for the other patients. The band members came to see Yi-chan and decided to help him distribute missing person flyers and continue searching for Eun-gyeol. Yi-chan told his friends about his heroic act against the gang. He was also grateful to Se-kyung for saving him. At that moment, Eun-yu, in the body of Se-kyung, came to visit Yi-chan. She told him that she hadn't saved him, but Chung-ah had. She had seen Chung-ah's name tag. Yi-chan was surprised. To thank Chung-ah for saving him, he went to her house to express his gratitude. But Chung-ah didn't meet him. She looked at him through the window and wrote Yi-chan's name. As Yi-chan left, Eun-gyeol returned, and they missed the chance to see each other again. Eun-gyeol wanted to find out if the Se-kyung in the real world was supposed to become his mother, so he called the music store owner. But the number was still invalid. However, Eun-gyeol didn't care. The next day, he returned to the phone booth and unexpectedly ran into Eun-yu. She was eager to find out about her mother's first love. Was it Eun-gyeol or Yi-chan? So, she invited him to dinner. As usual, she ordered super spicy food, and she had him take a bite. She just wanted to force-feed it to him, but Eun-gyeol bargained with her. He asked her to promise not to get close to Yi-chan. But neither of them would compromise, so they both failed to achieve their goals. To protect his mom, Eun-gyeol chose to attend the same school as Chung-ah. His appearance immediately attracted the attention of the female students. Eun-yu went to find Chung-ah. She wanted to ask Chung-ah if she knew who Se-kyung's first love was, but she saw Eun-gyeol and Chung-ah together. She yelled and chased after them, but Eun-gyeol completely ignored her. He walked Chung-ah straight into the school. Eun-yu wanted to chase after them, but the security guard stopped her. She told Yi-chan about Eun-gyeol. Yi-chan was very excited and decided to have the band perform a special concert for Eun-gyeol. Meanwhile, Eun-yu found a school uniform in the closet that was the same as Chung-ah's. She quickly changed into it and successfully entered the school. She went to find Eun-gyeol, who reluctantly went outside with her. The moment Eun-yu took off her hat and tossed back her hair, Eun-gyeol's heart raced. Eun-yu wanted to know why he hated her so much. Eun-gyeol found a random excuse, saying that he was angry when he saw her. After he said this, he turned to leave, but Eun-yu told him that Yi-chan had been beaten up and hospitalized. Hearing this, Eun-gyeol's eyes widened in surprise. As they were talking, a concert to welcome Eun-gyeol back got everyone's attention. Yi-chan was singing passionately on stage. Seeing Eun-gyeol, he got off the stage and went to him, promising to study hard in the future and try to sing better. He said everything would be done, but he just hoped Eun-gyeol would return to him. This time, Eun-gyeol glanced at Chung-ah, who was standing nearby, and agreed to Yi-chan's request. He also made one condition. Yi-chan was forbidden from dating Se-kyung because he had fallen for Se-kyung. Yi-chan couldn't believe it. He had carefully prepared the concert for Eun-gyeol, But Eun-gyeol was actually repaying his kindness by confessing his love to his goddess. Yi-chan, enraged, punched Eun-gyeol. Eun-gyeol didn't back down and fought back against his dad. They fought from inside the circle to outside the circle, neither one wanting to admit defeat. Everyone quickly dispersed when the security guards arrived to break up the fight. While escaping, Eun-gyeol grabbed Yoon-yu's hand in panic. Yi-chan was chased by the guards, and he wanted to jump onto a truck in front of him. The security guards were hot on his heels. At that crucial moment, Chung-ah came up and tripped the security guard, helping Yi-chan escape successfully. Eun-gyeol and Yoon-yu hid in the swimming pool. With no one around, Yoon-yu asked about what Eun-gyeol had confessed to her. She still thought he liked Yi-chan, assuming he was using his confession to break up Yi-chan and her. Eun-gyeol admitted again that he wasn't lying. He really liked Yoon-yu. Eun-gyeol hoped she liked him too. Yoon-yu ordered him to explain why he liked her within 3 seconds. He replied that he was drawn to her beauty when they first met. He felt like they were destined to be together. Eun-gyeol smiled, declaring the mission accomplished. Just then, the teacher came over and took them to the principal's office. The principal was Chung-ah's stepmother. She was the one who handled Se-kyung's study abroad arrangements, but she had no idea that Se-kyung had returned from America. She also noticed that the Se-kyung in front of her was very different from before. To confirm, she called Se-kyung's mother. Luckily, Yoon-yu was smart. She vaguely remembered that her family was traveling during this time. What she said sounded just like the message on the other end of the call. This cleared up her stepmother's suspicions. She put down the phone and told Yoon-yu to continue attending school from tomorrow. Later, Eun-gyeol talked to Chung-ah. She was furious that he had confessed in public. He chased her outside to apologize. Yoon-yu happened to see this scene. She couldn't understand why he had confessed his love to her, but was secretly seeing Chung-ah. To find out if Eun-gyeol was her mother's first love, she tricked Eun-gyeol with some unusual spicy food. This was an important matter in her life. Eun-gyeol was confused. He didn't understand why she was so obsessed with this. But because it involved Se-kyung's life, he didn't ask any further questions. As he was about to bring her food, Yoon-yu interrupted him. It turned out she was heartbroken by Eun-gyeol's words. Suddenly, her heart was racing, and she didn't want to try the food anymore. After returning home, Yoon-yu suddenly remembered something else her mother had said. Her first love had performed a song for her at the spring festival. It was then that she realized she had always liked him. Yoon-yu decided to keep her attitude ambiguous towards Yi-chan, and Eun-gyeol to figure out who would be invited to the anniversary. Eun-gyeol went home and continued tutoring Chung-ah. However, she threw things at him and left. Eun-gyeol picked up the things from the floor. They turned out to be a diary where his mother had written about her love for Yi-chan. Eun-gyeol suddenly realized that Chung-ah had had a crush on Yi-chan. He couldn't help but feel bad. His unauthorized confession of love had hurt his mother. While Eun-gyeol was thinking, he received a call from Yi-chan. After careful consideration, Yi-chan decided to compete fairly with Eun-gyeol. Finally, they reached an agreement. Neither of them could see Se-kyung during this time. They would compete on stage at the school's anniversary. The loser would voluntarily give up. They temporarily reconciled. Eun-gyeol and Yi-chan went home to visit his grandmother. She asked Eun-gyeol to continue tutoring Yi-chan. She was worried that he would follow in his father's footsteps and not study hard, causing trouble outside. Later, Eun-gyeol learned about Yi-chan's father's bad habit of gambling in his youth. He would hit and scold his grandmother just to get money. Eun-gyeol couldn't stand seeing his grandmother worried about Yi-chan. He promised to return soon to teach Yi-chan once he finished his work. He asked for confirmation as to whether Yi-chan was injured and had to be hospitalized because of him. After receiving a positive answer, he immediately checked Yi-chan from head to toe to see if he was hurt. Was Yi-chan's hearing affected? Once he confirmed that everything was normal with Yi-chan, he felt relieved. On the way home, Eun-gyeol remembered what his father had said. When he was 20, he met his mother in sign language class. Now, Yi-chan and Chung-ah were both 18. Eun-gyeol's appearance was the link between his parents. He vowed to remove Se-kyung as an obstacle, and he needed to figure out when his father's accident happened and prevent it. The next day, Yoon-yu appeared at school in all her glory. Because Eun-gyeol had agreed with Yi-chan that no one could see Yoon-yu alone, he turned around and ran away. Yoon-yu felt that he had confessed his love to her just a few days ago. Now, he was avoiding her. She thought he was playing with her feelings and chased after him relentlessly. They staged a game of cat and mouse at school. Yi-chan received news from his classmates. He wanted to rush over and settle the score with Eun-gyeol. Suddenly, they received an order to leave the practice room. Yi-chan hugged the teacher's leg and begged, asking to wait until the school anniversary was over before moving. But the teacher was ruthless and kicked them out. The band members found a secret base. He called Eun-gyeol and told him the address. He also told Eun-gyeol to keep it a secret and not to tell anyone except the band members. Eun-gyeol felt that the opportunity to stand side by side with his parents had arrived. Excitedly, he brought Chung-ah to the new practice room. But he didn't expect to see Yi-chan and Yoon-yu talking and laughing when he opened the door. They accused each other of bringing outsiders. Eun-gyeol, furious, lied, saying he brought Chung-ah because he wanted her to be the band's costume designer. Yi-chan, not to be outdone, said that Yoon-yu could be the band's photographer. To give his parents some privacy, Eun-gyeol lied about wanting to check Yoon-yu's photography skills, then dragged her away. Yi-chan used the sign language he had learned to communicate with Chung-ah. Chung-ah showed him her paintings. Yi-chan praised her work. But as he flipped through the pages, he saw that he was painted in one of the pictures. Chung-ah reacted. She snatched back her sketchbook. Meanwhile, Eun-gyeol and Yoon-yu took a ride on an electric scooter. Unfortunately, the battery died on the way. Now it was getting dark, and they started arguing and blaming each other. Eun-gyeol took off his jacket and put it on Yoon-yu. He also asked if she had feelings for him. He was confident that he could win her heart. Yoon-yu fell for Eun-gyeol's trap. After a while, she came to her senses and asked him to sing a song for her. Eun-gyeol hesitated. To provoke him, she said that Yi-chan would have definitely fulfilled her request. Yi-chan also said that he would sing for her on the anniversary. As soon as he said this, Eun-gyeol started singing. Yoon-yu was captivated by his voice and couldn't escape it. Eun-gyeol looked closely at Yoon-yu's face. He couldn't contain his racing heart. He realized that it wasn't just his parents' 18th year. It was his too. The age of longing for love. In the night, he slowly approached Yoon-yu. Just as he was about to kiss her, the face of Se-kyung, middle-aged, from the future world, flashed through his mind. Eun-gyeol was terrified and immediately sat up straight. He thought about how he had helped his brother solve his relationship problems. His brother had told him that sometimes you just have to follow your heart, even if it means not thinking about other things. Thinking about this, Eun-gyeol couldn't control his feelings for Yoon-yu anymore. He kissed her. Then, Eun-gyeol felt a little awkward. The situation was completely out of control, but he couldn't deny his feelings for Yoon-yu. It wasn't a deliberate act to reunite his parents, but a love from the bottom of his heart. That night, Yi-chan saw himself in Chung-ah's painting. He asked Chung-ah if she liked him. Chung-ah shyly confessed her feelings. Yi-chan wanted to make it clear that he had someone he liked, but he was also worried that Chung-ah would be sad. As he hesitated, Chung-ah handed him the sketchbook and ran off. Yi-chan opened the book. What Chung-ah wanted to say was drawn inside. She knew Yi-chan only liked Se-kyung, but this didn't stop her from liking him. They could still be friends. After Eun-gyeol returned home, Chung-ah eagerly pulled him into the house. She had learned the sign language movements Yi-chan had been teaching himself and asked what they meant. Then, she excitedly told him that she wanted to learn sign language. Her father, seizing this opportunity, made a demand. If Eun-gyeol didn't teach Chung-ah sign language within a month, he would kick him out. Eun-gyeol promised he would complete the task. Before leaving, he asked her father to buy Chung-ah a pager. This way, she could communicate with the outside world. Her father didn't understand why Eun-gyeol cared so much about Chung-ah. But when they negotiated the first time, he had asked Eun-gyeol, "If I agree to your conditions, what will you give me in return?" Eun-gyeol thought of his mother's smile at that moment and replied, "I'll show you your daughter's smile." Not that fake smile, but the smile of happiness in her heart. Thinking about this, his grandfather took out a picture of their family of 3. Since the divorce, he had never seen his daughter smile again. He couldn't help but have mixed emotions. Unexpectedly, Chung-ah's stepmother witnessed this scene. She was afraid that her husband would start loving Chung-ah again, so she immediately felt a dislike for Eun-gyeol. The next day, Chung-ah's stepmother called Eun-gyeol to her office and told him to stop teaching Chung-ah sign language. Eun-gyeol revealed her true colors. He said that the reason she bullied Chung-ah was that she was afraid that if the chairman chose Chung-ah as his successor, her children would have nothing. The stepmother was furious. She told him to stay away, or she would have no mercy. To warn him, she forced him to clean the school bathrooms. This made Eun-gyeol extremely angry. He wanted to get out of there and go back to his world, but the problem was there was no way back. Suddenly, dark clouds covered the sky. Then, there was a strange ringing sound. Eun-gyeol followed the sound and went to the locker room. He found a phone in the locker. The person on the other end of the call was the music store owner. He thought back to the previous few times when the owner had just teased him and not provided any useful information. He wanted to hang up, but unexpectedly, the owner said that someone had come to help him. He needed to figure out who it was and why that person wanted to help. First, he had to help the helper solve their problems. After ending the call with the store owner, Eun-gyeol received another call and went to meet Yi-chan. Yi-chan asked him if Yoon-yu's filming skills had passed yesterday's test, but Eun-gyeol was thinking about kissing Yoon-yu. He also asked Yi-chan if he had seen Chung-ah's artwork. What Yi-chan was thinking about was Chung-ah's shy expression when she admitted that she liked him. Yi-chan recognized Chung-ah's first-rate painting skills. That night, Eun-gyeol went to Yoon-yu's door. He wanted her to be the band's photographer. As soon as he saw her, he noticed that Yoon-yu looked pale. He was worried and asked what was wrong. It turned out that when Yoon-yu went to school that morning, she saw the electric scooter Yoon-gyeol had left behind. He had also left a note. It was full of concern, and Yoon-yu was very happy. But her happiness didn't last long. When she got to school, she saw Yoon-gyeol laughing and joking with Chung-ah. Their relationship seemed particularly intimate. This distracted Yoon-yu in class. She speculated about their relationship until her teacher asked her to play a cello piece. She couldn't refuse, but when she picked up her cello, a memory surfaced. At her classmate's funeral, her mother had told her not to mind the saying that she had enjoyed a first-class life because of her friend's death. Thinking about this, she couldn't play any melody. So she went to the bathroom and ran away from the scene. She went to a deserted place and breathed into a balloon to balance her emotions. Her life was controlled by her mother, which made Yoon-yu feel suffocated. She quickly rummaged through her suitcase for her medicine bottle and looked at the rope she always kept in her room. Just then, Yoon-gyeol arrived. She asked him to go with her to a currency exchange. She also told him she had sold her cello and was starting a new journey. Hearing that Yoon-yu had similar experiences to his when he arrived, Yoon-gyeol suddenly thought that she was the one who had helped him. He quickly asked her where she had sold her cello. She answered that it was sold in America. This temporarily dispelled his doubts. He saw that Yoon-yu was depressed, so he followed her to the theater. She sat there crying. Yoon-gyeol comforted her, telling her not to have those bad thoughts, and that he saw her future in middle age as her present. He also told her that she would have a beautiful daughter in the future, that she would age gracefully and elegantly, and that she would even change a young man's destiny. Although she didn't believe these words, Yoon-gyeol's company calmed her down. Meanwhile, Yi-chan went to the bookstore to buy sign language books. He happened to run into Chung-ah. Chung-ah had designed the band's clothing logo. It was a picture of a watermelon. Chung-ah admired a sick painter, but she used the watermelon painting to defy her fate. There was a line in the painting that always encouraged her, "Viva la vida," which means life is long. Chung-ah had taught Yi-chan sign language for this phrase. Yi-chan studied diligently with a smile on his face. Chung-ah returned home and saw the pager her father had bought for her. She was eager to send a message to Yi-chan. The joy and happiness on her face were impossible to hide. Her father, watching this scene from outside the door, finally believed what Yoon-gyeol had said. His daughter's smile was the most precious treasure in the world. The next day, Yi-chan told the story of the watermelon painter and decided to use watermelon as the band's name. They started discussing the name. Finally, Yi-chan synthesized everyone's opinions. They unanimously agreed on an excellent name, Sparkling Watermelon. At the same time, Chung-ah was busy designing clothes nonstop, and Yoon-yu was re-energized and started taking pictures of the band. A group of teenagers was working towards a bright future, but they didn't expect that this performance would seriously injure one of their members. Through Chung-ah and Yoon-yu's hard work, the band finally got their watermelon-themed uniforms and took photos for the band poster. While they were taking promotional photos, Chung-ah helped Yi-chan fix his hair. Yoon-gyeol couldn't help but smile as he watched. By chance, Yoon-yu saw Yoon-gyeol smiling and took a picture. The students at the school were very interested in which boy their goddess would choose. They even placed bets on it. The girls hoped Yoon-yu would choose Yi-chan, leaving the handsome Yoon-gyeol for everyone else. After all, every girl wanted a perfect boyfriend like Yoon-gyeol. At that moment, Yoon-gyeol and his friends were playing soccer on the field. He was the scoring center, making the girls constantly scream in admiration. At the end of the game, the girls surrounded Yoon-gyeol to give him presents. He happily accepted the gifts with a bright smile. Seeing Yoon-gyeol smiling with other girls made Yoon-yu angry. She scolded and threatened Yoon-gyeol, then turned and walked away. Yoon-gyeol's cries came from behind, and Yoon-yu quickly turned back. Yoon-gyeol found the food too spicy and frantically searched for water. This made Yoon-yu realize that Yoon-gyeol couldn't eat spicy food. He was definitely not her mother's first love. To celebrate the band's upcoming performance, the man at the music store, who usually provided them with a practice space, treated them to a barbecue. The band members ate a lot and were very excited about the upcoming performance. Yi-chan's good friend Ma-ju discovered his strengths. Compared to being on stage, he preferred calling for investors, advertising, and negotiating. He was the kind of guy who could be a producer and find talented artists. It seemed like he had discovered his strengths. He happily shared that if such a day came, he would want to collaborate with Dong-jin. Yoon-gyeol heard this. He suddenly remembered Dong-jin's interview in 2023. At that time, Dong-jin and Ma-ju had worked together for many years. In the interview, Dong-jin talked about the former members of his band. One member had been seriously injured in an accident during their anniversary practice, and the band broke up. The only ones who still pursued their passion were him and Ma-ju. Thinking about this, Yoon-gyeol understood immediately. If he hadn't appeared, Dong-jin would have been in this band, and the accident that Dong-jin mentioned would have happened. In other words, the accident that made his father deaf would happen during tomorrow's practice. Yoon-gyeol was horrified. He glanced at Yi-chan and quickly ran to the swimming pool. He called the music store owner, but he couldn't get through. Yi-chan and the band members were eating and drinking, oblivious to what was happening. As they parted ways at the crossroads, one of the members, Ha Eun-gyeol, seemed to be hiding something. It turned out that Ha Eun-gyeol had been the right-hand man of a gang leader, but he didn't want to live that life anymore, so he voluntarily left the group. This sparked the gang leader's hatred. He was determined to get revenge on Ha Eun-gyeol. A few days ago, Ha Eun-gyeol saved a middle school student who was being bullied by a gang. Unexpectedly, this act angered the leader. He would definitely give him a fatal blow when he was at his most arrogant. To avoid the accident, Eun-gyeol begged Yi-chan to cancel tomorrow's practice. If Yi-chan was determined to attend, he just needed to not show up. But Yi-chan had been preparing for a long time. He didn't want to miss any chance to be on stage with his bandmates. Seeing Eun-gyeol trying to persuade him, Yi-chan suspected that he had ulterior motives, that he was sabotaging Yi-chan's good work. So no matter what, he was determined to attend practice tomorrow. Eun-gyeol was desperate. He had no choice but to ask Eun-yu for help. She also wanted to know why he was doing this, but she sensed he was hiding something, so she didn't ask further questions. She demanded that he agree to 2 conditions. First, he had to tell her his secret when the time was right. Second, they would go see a movie together after everything was done. Eun-gyeol readily agreed. Early the next morning, Eun-yu used the excuse of taking personal photos and invited Yi-chan to a small island. Yi-chan was worried he wouldn't be able to make the 3 p.m. practice. Eun-yu promised that practice would end before that time. Hearing this, Yi-chan breathed a sigh of relief. When they arrived, Yi-chan felt happy about the prospect of being alone with his idol. But unexpectedly, Eun-gyeol was there. He confessed his purpose. He wanted to stop Yi-chan from attending practice today. Now they had to wait until 6 p.m. for the boat back. But Yi-chan was determined to return before 3 p.m., even if he had to hire a boat. To make Yi-chan change his mind, Eun-gyeol didn't hesitate to say that he was from the future and that he was Yi-chan's son in the future. Eun-gyeol even knew Yi-chan's future fate. Yi-chan would be injured at today's practice, and this accident would change his life. So Eun-gyeol had to prevent it. Yi-chan felt like he was hearing a fantasy. He thought Eun-gyeol was crazy, turning a novel storyline into reality. Yi-chan was determined to leave. Eun-gyeol threatened him. If he was determined to leave, Eun-gyeol would jump into the ocean right away. Yi-chan thought he was joking until a sound came from behind him. Then, he realized that what Eun-gyeol said was true. Yi-chan immediately jumped into the water and saved Eun-gyeol. He couldn't bear to see him harm himself, so he agreed to miss practice. Hearing those words, Eun-gyeol finally felt relieved. Meanwhile, the other band members were stalling for time with the organizers. They believed that Eun-gyeol and Yi-chan would definitely be there. However, the organizers still canceled their practice and pulled them off the stage. Unexpectedly, as soon as they left, the lighting equipment above them suddenly fell. If they had been a second late, the consequences would have been disastrous. Eun-gyeol and Yi-chan were now back on land. As Eun-gyeol walked to his door, he suddenly remembered his promise to go to the movies with Eun-yu. He walked over to her house. They held hands and went to the theater. While chatting, Eun-yu happened to mention Squid Game. Eun-gyeol was confused because that game hadn't existed in 1995. At that moment, the sound of a pager interrupted his train of thought. Eun-gyeol called back the message and learned that Yi-chan and the others had gone to practice. Eun-gyeol raced towards the practice site. He hoped he could prevent the accident in time. It turned out that after Yi-chan returned, the band members kept him there for questioning. Just then, his grandmother asked him to deliver some bao buns to her friend, who was the school security guard. The band members bribed the security guard with a plate of bao buns to get the key to the practice room. They wanted to have a practice all by themselves. Yi-chan and the 3 other members sang with passion on stage. Just then, the gang leader appeared with a group of people. The accident this afternoon wasn't a coincidence. The leader had planned it. Luckily, Eun-gyeol and Yi-chan weren't there, so the band members escaped disaster. The gang rushed in, and the 2 sides fought. In the fight, Yi-chan skillfully took down several others. The leader saw this, grabbed a stick from behind, and hit Yi-chan on the head. Yi-chan suddenly felt dizzy. At that moment, Eun-gyeol rushed in, saw Yi-chan injured, and went completely crazy. He grabbed the gang leader by the throat and warned him not to touch Yi-chan. Just then, the police arrived. The leader and his men quickly fled. Eun-gyeol rushed over and picked up Yi-chan, asking if he could still hear what he was saying. Yi-chan replied, "I can hear you clearly." Seeing that his father was okay, Eun-gyeol's worry finally subsided. Everyone cleaned up the practice room and then went to the hot springs to wash off all the dirt. After bathing, Eun-gyeol and Yi-chan's skincare routines were exactly the same. Combined with Eun-gyeol's actions to prevent him from getting hurt, Yi-chan suspected they were father and son. His worries resolved, Eun-gyeol lied, saying that his parents didn't want him to play in the band. So, he just ran away from home. His parents had found out about the practice and planned to force him to study abroad. Eun-gyeol had no choice but to cancel the practice. Yi-chan believed it, and he didn't question it any further. Then, Eun-gyeol suddenly remembered that he had left Yoon-yu alone at the movie theater yesterday. He rushed to her house to beg for forgiveness. Because of her experiences from childhood to adulthood, Yoon-yu hated being abandoned. Last night, she experienced that feeling again, and she couldn't forgive Eun-gyeol's actions. At that moment, Eun-gyeol's spirits were down. He forced himself to cheer up. His mission wasn't over yet. He wanted to go back to his parents. Eun-gyeol went back to Chang-ah's house, but her stepmother ordered him to move out immediately. Luckily, her father came back in time. He scolded his wife and extended the initial agreement he had made with Eun-gyeol. He allowed Eun-gyeol to stay for another month, but the condition was that Chang-ah had to smile in front of him. The next day, Eun-gyeol and Chang-ah ran into Yoon-yu. Eun-gyeol chased after her to explain. He even wanted to tell her the secret of his time travel, but Yoon-yu told him about her parents' early divorce. She thought she was a loved child, but later, she learned that her father had been so good to her because he didn't want to be seen as a deadbeat dad. Her mother treated her as an ornament to embellish her life. She hated being someone else's puppet or trophy. Now, she saw Eun-gyeol as that kind of person. Eun-gyeol couldn't argue. He wanted to know if Yoon-yu would choose Yi-chan. After hearing Eun-gyeol's words, Yoon-yu left without looking back. Chang-ah was also paying attention to Yoon-yu's choice. She thought she would choose Eun-gyeol without hesitation. But Yoon-yu was angry and went against her heart. She said that she would choose Yi-chan. Before the concert started, the Sparkling Watermelon Band began to solicit the audience. Yi-chan saw Chang-ah on the bus and excitedly rushed to her. She had come specifically to give him a gift, a guitar pick she had made herself. Yi-chan was delighted and kept inviting her to see the concert. She nodded, but her heart was saying goodbye to Yi-chan. She knew that after tonight, Yi-chan would belong to Yoon-yu. There was no reason for her to stay with him. Yi-chan received Chang-ah's assurance and left happily. He didn't know that Chang-ah had started to cry after turning away. At that moment, Yoon-yu also appeared in front of the band members. Everyone cheered and played games around Yoon-yu. She laughed and joked with them, but she deliberately ignored Eun-gyeol. Eun-gyeol felt uncomfortable looking at Yoon-yu laughing happily in the sunshine. His heart started to race uncontrollably. The clock was ticking down. The band members were excited, but only Eun-gyeol was unhappy. For his current plan, he wanted Yi-chan and Yoon-yu to break up. He could only defeat Yi-chan on stage. So, he asked Yi-chan to have a real battle with him. The official performance began. Yi-chan's soulful vocals and Eun-gyeol's amazing guitar skills thrilled the audience. Yoon-yu's classmates praised Eun-gyeol a lot. They thought his skills could rival Ji-won's. Yoon-yu was shocked to hear her father's name. Then she realized that her father had been a member of a band in his youth. Thinking back to what her mother had said about her first love's uniqueness, she suddenly realized that her mother's first love wasn't Yi-chan or Eun-gyeol, but her father when he was young. Knowing the truth, Yoon-yu was surprised. She sat on the steps and cried. At that moment, the uncle from the music store came to watch the performance. He spotted her and called out her name, Sekyung. It turned out that the music store uncle was Yoon-yu's mother's real father when he was young. He was her grandfather in the present, but Yoon-yu had never met him. She thought he had mistaken her for someone else. The Sparkling Watermelon Band's performance was nearing its end. Yi-chan announced that the final song was dedicated to a special girl. But when he looked out at the audience, he didn't see the one he was looking for. He quickly regained his composure and let the performance finish successfully. Eun-gyeol wanted to know why Yoon-yu had left in the middle of it, so he went to find her after the performance. The others went out for dinner together. Yi-chan was constantly lost in thought. His bandmates thought he was sad that Yoon-yu left without saying goodbye. But what bothered Yi-chan was that Chang-ah hadn't come. He wanted to know what had happened to her, so he sent her messages, one after another, expressing his feelings. He said he would wait for her downstairs and hoped to see her. Chang-ah went outside. She thought the performance was over, and Yi-chan had gone to Yoon-yu. To avoid feeling like a loser, Chang-ah retreated like a wounded wolf. She said many hurtful things against her will. Yi-chan wanted her to admit her feelings for him, so he asked her why she had been helping him all this time, why she wanted to be his friend, and why she had said she liked him. She was afraid to stay longer and pretended to be indifferent, but she knew she would be defeated. She handed Yi-chan a note, with a few lines written on it. She decided to bury her unforgettable secret love. Chang-ah cried in sorrow. Yi-chan read the note she had given him over and over. She had written, "In the future, I hope we never meet again. After all, we're from different worlds." Looking at the watermelon guitar pick on his chest, Yi-chan felt bittersweet and sad. Meanwhile, Eun-gyeol was waiting for Yoon-yu to come home. He apologized to her again for his actions. Now, Yoon-yu had found her answer. Thinking back on what she had done during this time, she realized it had probably caused a lot of trouble for Eun-gyeol. She turned to him and told him that she wouldn't choose either of them. They didn't need to meet again in the future. After all, She and Eun-gyeol would be in different worlds. Eun-gyeol was filled with disappointment. On his way home, he heard familiar music coming from the music store. He went to the store and sat down, expressing his thoughts. The owner listened to Eun-gyeol's and Yoon-yu's tangled emotions. Then he told Eun-gyeol that this was love. Eun-gyeol laughed bitterly. There was simply no way to cross the chasm. People from different worlds, with age gaps, were falling in love. The music store owner told him that love had no limits, and he should follow his heart. When Eun-gyeol returned home, he found out that Yoon-yu was about to go back to America. To keep her, Eun-gyeol rushed out into the heavy rain to catch a bus. At this moment, he finally understood what it was like to love someone. Later, Yoon-yu went to the airport but was stopped. She wanted to return to America to confirm whether her mother's first love was her father or not. But she realized she couldn't find her way back. She sat in the rain and cried. Suddenly, Eun-gyeol appeared. Yoon-yu cried and complained that she was afraid she would never return. Eun-gyeol promised to help her no matter what. He said they were from different worlds, but that didn't matter. What mattered was who you were, so stay together. Eun-gyeol successfully kept Yoon-yu. When he took her home, she fell asleep on his shoulder. He kindly asked the driver to drive in circles for a while until she woke up. When he was taking her luggage, he noticed the name on it wasn't Sekyung, but Yoon-yu. He thought he was seeing things and didn't pay attention. Before they parted ways, Yoon-yu invited him over to eat instant noodles. She took her luggage upstairs. The suitcase accidentally rolled down. The Burt's Bees lip balm fell out of the case. Eun-gyeol accidentally saw something that wasn't from 1995 and was instantly confused. But Yoon-yu quickly stepped forward, stepped on the lip balm, and concealed it from Eun-gyeol. Yoon-yu went into the kitchen to cook instant noodles, and Eun-gyeol helped her carry her luggage to the room. He saw some large writing in the room, the band members my mother loved that year. Eun-gyeol thought about the meaning of these words. He accidentally pushed the bottle of sleeping pills on the table to the ground. He picked it up. At that moment, Yoon-yu's cries came from downstairs. Eun-gyeol calmly put the medicine in his pocket and hurried to check on her. It turned out that she was unfamiliar with the kitchen since she was new to it. Eun-gyeol helped Yoon-yu make some delicious pancakes. They ate and laughed together, enjoying each other's company. After finishing their meal, Yoon-yu wanted to confirm that Eun-gyeol's promise to help her find her way home was real. Eun-gyeol, a little confused about helping Yoon-yu return to America, agreed to her request. It would take some time, but that way, he could spend more time with her. Leaving Yoon-yu's house, Eun-gyeol, who had found love, ran wildly down the street, shouting with joy. After bathing, Yoon-yu stood in front of the mirror and thought about what Eun-gyeol had said, which made her heart beat faster. Returning home, Eun-gyeol noticed that there were 2 moons in the sky. At the same time, the music store owner called him. The owner told Eun-gyeol that his journey was coming to an end. The next time the 2 moons appeared, the door connecting the 2 worlds would open. It was his only chance to return to 2023. The next day, Yoon-yu went to see Yi-chan. First, she apologized for leaving in the middle of their practice. Yoon-yu was about to tell him that she had made her choice, but Yi-chan interrupted her. For days, he had noticed that Yoon-yu liked Eun-gyeol. Hearing her confession, he felt relieved. The school's anniversary concert was coming to an end, which meant the band would disband. Yi-chan was a little sad to let go of his bandmates, but happiness came suddenly. The principal called the band members to his office and told them to represent the school at a music competition. He also ordered them to write a song to defeat his arch-nemesis. The band members immediately shared this good news with Eun-gyeol. Eun-gyeol was a little anxious because he was struggling with how to tell Yi-chan about Yoon-yu's feelings. Eun-gyeol decided to take the initiative and call Yi-chan. But Yi-chan told him that Yoon-yu had already gone to his house and confessed her feelings. Yi-chan, being a mature individual, understood the situation and still wanted to be friends with Eun-gyeol. Hearing this, Eun-gyeol was completely relieved. He was proud that his 18-year-old father was cooler than he had imagined. After returning home, Eun-gyeol asked Chang-ah to continue being the band's designer. However, Chang-ah refused. She knew that Eun-gyeol had been trying to connect her with Yi-chan all this time, but she didn't want to be helped anymore. She wanted to forge her path in life. Eun-gyeol looked at his mother with relief. He had to admit that his 18-year-old mother was becoming stronger. Everything was going well, but unfortunately, he didn't have much time left here. Eun-gyeol was cleaning the school pool when he felt sad about returning to 2023. He happened to run into Yoon-yu, who was skipping school. It turned out that her teacher had asked her to play the cello, but Yoon-yu couldn't overcome her inner fear and ran away. Eun-gyeol didn't try to convince her to go back and face her fears. Instead, he took her with him. They snuck out of school and strolled happily through the streets like any normal couple on a date. After a wonderful day, Eun-gyeol took Yoon-yu home. Before leaving, he took out her sleeping pills and asked if she had anything she wanted to talk about. Yoon-yu thought back to her past as a tool for her mother's performances. Playing the cello had been a painful abyss for her, causing her to lose her hearing temporarily on stage. Since then, she has relied on sleeping pills to get a good night's sleep. Eun-gyeol wanted to help her get over that painful memory. He also revealed his true feelings. He said he wouldn't force her to pretend to be happy. He just hoped that he could occasionally be her prescription for a good night's sleep. When she went home, she opened her sleeping pill bottle and discovered that the pills had transformed into colorful candies. Eun-gyeol ate one and tasted a sweetness she had never experienced. Meanwhile, Yi-chan wanted to personally invite Chong-ah to the creative camp. But whenever he sent her letters, they were always ripped up and thrown away. Yi-chan saw the crumpled pieces of paper scattered around the room. He was still not brave enough to confess his feelings. The next day, Yi-chan accidentally saw Chong-ah walking down the street and chased after her. He saw a car speeding toward Chong-ah and quickly ran to the car and told the driver to wait. He waited until Chong-ah passed safely before letting the driver go. Then he hurried after her and saw her feeding stray cats. Chong-ah gently spoke to them using sign language. Chong-ah was absorbed in her painting in the art studio. The sunlight fell upon her, making her look like a pure angel. Everyone was mesmerized by her. While Chong-ah was eating at the convenience store, she was approached by a bad boy. After realizing she was deaf, he became even more unscrupulous and tried to make fun of her. Chong-ah was scared, but Yi-chan appeared and taught the boy a lesson. They went to the police station. Because of inconsistent testimonies, the police wouldn't let Yi-chan and Chong-ah leave. When Yi-chan's grandmother came to the police station, she said that they could leave after finding a witness. She quickly found a witness who had seen the entire event and successfully helped Chong-ah and Yi-chan get out of the police station. Seeing that Yi-chan really cared about Chong-ah, his grandmother told him that he had to understand the difference between liking someone and having sympathy for someone. Don't ever hurt someone because of your sympathy. Yi-chan was deep in thought after hearing this. The next day, Yi-chan called Eun-gyeol and asked him why he was at Chong-ah's house and hadn't protected her. Eun-gyeol explained that Chong-ah had run into trouble on her way home. Yi-chan asked him to make up for his mistake and help him ask Chong-ah out on a date. At this moment, Chong-ah was considering whether or not she should tell Yi-chan. She had turned him down because she wanted him to be with Eun-yu. While she was thinking, she received a note from Eun-gyeol. He told her to come to practice immediately, or Yi-chan would find the two bad boys and deal with them. Chong-ah rushed to practice. She discovered that Yi-chan was the only one in the studio. Finally, he decided to stop hiding his feelings and wrote them down in his notebook. First, he said that she was the one who wanted to be his friend, and she had even told him that he and Yi-chan had planned to dedicate a song to Chong-ah for the school's anniversary. But she hadn't come, so Yi-chan had no choice but to sing for her here. Yi-chan got on stage and sang, using sign language, a unique song in the world, for the girl of his dreams. Chong-ah couldn't control her emotions and rushed to hug Yi-chan. Their hearts finally came together and leaned on each other. Eun-gyeol watched this scene from outside the door and smiled with relief. His original goal had finally been achieved. The next day, the band members went on a songwriting retreat. Eun-gyeol, Eun-yu, Yi-chan, and Chong-ah appeared before everyone. The young band members set off on their journey to bravely pursue their dreams. On the train, the band members gathered around Yi-chan and Chong-ah to learn sign language. On the other side, Eun-yu, who had once been the school's goddess, had no more admirers. Eun-gyeol immediately promised Eun-yu that he would treat her well in the future. Eun-yu told Eun-gyeol that she had decided to step out of the shadows and live a happy life. She wanted Eun-gyeol to be with her all the time. She stood up and walked to the bathroom. Eun-gyeol heard his phone buzz with a missed call from the music store owner. He picked up the phone and found a spot with a signal. At the same time, Eun-yu heard her phone ringing in the bathroom and was surprised to find that the phone she had thrown into the trash can had reappeared in her bag. She answered the phone and heard the music store owner's voice. He told her that when the two moons appeared in the sky, their two worlds would be connected, and she would have to return. If she didn't return, she would be stuck here forever. He then told her some hot news. She had a travel companion who would return with her, and that person was very close to her. Eun-yu wanted to ask more questions, but her phone suddenly lost its signal. She took her phone to the hallway to find a signal, and unexpectedly, she ran into Eun-gyeol, who was also holding her phone. She was the travel companion the music store owner mentioned. It was a true coincidence that Yi-chan walked up to them at this moment. He wanted to see what they were doing. These two quickly hung up the phone, but Yi-chan had already seen it. Eun-gyeol quickly dragged Eun-yu away from Yi-chan. They sat down and exchanged details about each other. Eun-gyeol said that he was Yi-chan's son from the future, and that he had come to this world to get his parents back together and prevent his father from having an accident. Eun-yu confessed she was Se-kyung's daughter and had come back to stop her mother's first love. She wanted to stop them from being together. After explaining this in detail, they both realized they were the same age. It was like a battle between the boy who stole her heart and the girl who broke his. Yi-chan found a car to take them to the camp. The driver turned out to be the uncle from the music store. He was Se-kyung's real father. Yoon-yu saw him but didn't recognize him. She said hello. The uncle kept sneaking peeks in the rearview mirror. When Yoon-yu noticed, he quickly turned around. She remembered that the last time he saw her, he had called out her name, Se-kyung. Immediately, she got a feeling that he definitely knew her mother. After everyone arrived, they started brainstorming song ideas. Yoon-yu had a suggestion. She had read a song from 2023. Eun-gyeol was horrified and quickly pulled her away, telling her not to act strangely. Meanwhile, Chang-ah was painting by the river, alone. Yi-chan was worried that she was getting bored, so he brought her a kitten to play with. Chang-ah wanted to name the kitten based on its facial features. This was more convenient for her to use sign language. She nicknamed Yi-chan's sparkling voice, because she could feel his sweet voice. She hoped Yi-chan would stop worrying about himself and focus on making music. Chang-ah also had her things to do. She didn't feel lonely or strange. Yi-chan was extremely moved to hear this. He couldn't control his emotions. Encouraged by Chang-ah, Yi-chan felt inspired. After discussing it with the band, they finished writing the song in just one night. The next day, the members started practicing their new song. The beautiful melody and heartfelt lyrics expressed a dream that belonged only to them. After their rehearsal, they all went to play on the beach. Surrounded by friendship, love, and family, they formed a beautiful and harmonious picture. At dinner time, the uncle from the music store invited them all for a barbecue. Everyone got one portion, but Yoon-yu got two. It was clear that he was showing favoritism. The next day, the two-day, one-night creative camp was over. Yi-chan encouraged everyone that they would defeat their opponents in the competition and win first place. Eun-gyeol wanted to return home with Chang-ah, but Yoon-yu pulled him away and winked at him, creating an opportunity for his parents to be alone together. Yi-chan drove Chang-ah home. They both were reluctant to say goodbye. Yi-chan told Chang-ah that if anyone bullied her again, she had to tell him immediately. If she was alone and could only use a payphone, she just needed to tap the receiver twice, 3 times. He would know what it meant. Chang-ah understood and repeated the signal on his hand. Yi-chan felt reassured and said goodbye. But as soon as he turned around, Chang-ah's stepmother suddenly saw them signing to each other. She knew they had been fighting with other students. She was furious and scolded Chang-ah for not listening. She prepared to give Chang-ah a lesson. Chang-ah didn't want to endure it anymore. She slapped her stepmother and warned her to stay home and not give any orders. She said that they were her servants and slaves, bought with her money. But there was a different world outside, where friends would help her. If her stepmother bullied her again, she would publish all her dirty secrets in the newspaper. Her stepmother was so angry she was yelling like crazy and ordered her servant to hold Chang-ah down. Chang-ah quickly ran to her room and sent a note to Yi-chan for help, but her stepmother ripped it up just like the sad letter she had written to her father. Chang-ah's childhood memories came back to her. She ran downstairs and called for her father, but her stepmother had lied to her father. She told him that this was just a way to teach her to speak, and that this was the only way for Chang-ah to make sounds. Her father believed it, so he just stood there and watched his daughter cry and be taken away. At this moment, Eun-gyeol still didn't know what was happening to his mother. Even though he had successfully prevented his father's accident, he still had a difficult task to make his mother smile from the bottom of her heart in front of her father. When he returned home, he noticed that the servant seemed afraid. He asked her where Chang-ah was. The maid said that Chang-ah had gone out to a class and wasn't home. Eun-gyeol went to Chang-ah's room and saw her pager thrown on the floor. Eun-gyeol quickly realized something was wrong with Chang-ah. He threatened the maid, saying he'd call the police if she didn't tell the truth. When he found Chang-ah, he was heartbroken to see her helpless. He ignored his stepmother's attempts to stop him and decided to take Chang-ah away. He swore he would expose his stepmother's true colors when Chang-ah's father returned. He would make sure Chang-ah got justice for all the harm she had endured. After that, he took Chang-ah to Yi-chan's house. He told Yi-chan and his grandmother about what happened to Chang-ah. Yi-chan wanted to go out and confront his stepmother, but his grandmother stopped him. She told him to think about it from Chang-ah's point of view. Only Chang-ah could decide what to do next. Yi-chan was angry that he couldn't do anything. He felt even more sympathy for Chang-ah's experience. He realized that his father was no different from Chang-ah's father. He had gambled away all their money, had children, and then abandoned them, leaving them with no responsibility. Eun-gyeol comforted Yi-chan and told him that in the future, he would not only be a good husband, but the best father in the world. Yi-chan thought he was joking, but Eun-gyeol was completely sincere. Yi-chan's grandmother came to Chang-ah's room. She felt sorry for the poor girl. She told Chang-ah that the next time anyone bullied her, she shouldn't hold back her anger. She should come running to her immediately, or she could just move in with her. Chang-ah understood what she was saying. For years, she had been living in hell. This was the first time she had felt the warmth and kindness of an older adult. She couldn't hold back her tears. She rushed into her grandmother's arms and cried her heart out. Eun-gyeol and Yi-chan finished their conversation and went home. They saw Chung-ah playing cards with the other band members and his grandmother. A smile appeared on Eun-gyeol's face. Yi-chan joined in the card game. Everyone was having fun together, but Eun-gyeol stepped outside and shed a few tears. He finally understood that his parents had also experienced bitter years in their youth, but they overcame their pain and hurt and became his parents. They had given him the greatest love and a complete family. On the other hand, Yoon-yu had found out about her real father. She realized the uncle at the music store was actually her grandfather. Her grandfather was a legend in a famous Korean band. But rumors said he had an affair with a new actress and had a daughter out of wedlock, causing the band to break up. He then withdrew from the music scene. Whether these rumors were true or not remained a mystery. Yoon-yu pretended to be her mother and went to her grandfather's music store, asking him about her grandmother. After finishing their conversation, she started crying and called Eun-gyeol. She told him that she missed her mother and wanted to eat her cooking. Eun-gyeol took Yoon-yu to her grandmother's house and told her he had a brother. Eun-gyeol couldn't help but feel he missed his brother very much. Yoon-yu was startled when she heard his brother's name. She had met him in the hospital when she was being treated for temporary deafness. He was the one who taught her sign language. This made Eun-gyeol remember that his brother had told her that he had met a beautiful girl who played the cello. He couldn't believe that the girl was actually Yoon-yu. Eun-gyeol sighed. Her relationship with Eun-gyeol was very complicated. Yoon-yu suddenly remembered that her brother had told her about an accident that made his father deaf. It hadn't happened yet. When she was in the hospital, he told her that he was writing a novel, and the main character was his father. Back in 1995, the thug was also a member of the band. The night before the school's anniversary, the band was practicing when they were attacked by the thugs. Yi-chan was also slightly injured. After that incident, the thug decided to leave the band and the other members quit one by one, so the band was forced to disband. Yi-chan wrote a new song to rebuild the band, so he took his tape to Se-kyung's father's music store to ask for his opinion, because he was a member of a famous band when he was young. But her uncle refused because he had a visitor and promised to listen to it later. On his way home, Yi-chan was hit in the head by a child playing with toys. So, he hung out with the little boy for a bit while his mom was shopping. The boy's toy rolled into the street, and a car came speeding around the corner. Seeing the car about to hit the little boy, Yi-chan ran out and saved him. He got hit by the car and lost his hearing. Eun-gyeol listened to Yoon-yu's story and started questioning whether it was actually true. He even thought that it might be a novel written by his brother. As it turns out, Eun-gyeol's brother had overheard the story from his dad's friend. His dad was taking care of his brother in the hospital and ran into a friend from high school he hadn't seen in a long time. The friend was eager to know how his dad was doing, but his dad didn't recognize him and just walked away. His brother was curious about how his dad had lost his hearing and went to a coffee shop with his dad's old friend. That's when he learned the whole story about his dad's accident. He wrote a novel about it later. After hearing this, Eun-gyeol totally believed the story. Yoon-yu also told him that Yi-chan's accident would happen tomorrow. Eun-gyeol and Yoon-yu analyzed where the accident would take place. They decided to take action tomorrow. Eun-gyeol would be responsible for keeping a close eye on Yi-chan while he was on the road, while Yoon-yu would be at the scene to stop any danger from happening. After discussing their plan, they said goodbye. Eun-gyeol hugged Yoon-yu, thanking her for her support and help. He promised to treat her twice as nice when they returned to 2023. Unexpectedly, 2 police officers appeared in front of Eun-gyeol and arrested him for kidnapping. On the way, Eun-gyeol noticed something was wrong. This wasn't the way to the police station. He quickly realized that they weren't cops, but thugs sent by his stepmother. Knowing their cover was blown, the guys didn't pretend anymore. They pulled out a contract drafted by his stepmother and forced Eun-gyeol to sign it. They promised to let him go as long as he signed it. Eun-gyeol was forced to leave his fingerprints on the contract. Their mission was complete. Now they wanted to silence him. Seeing that the situation was getting out of control, Eun-gyeol tried to grab the steering wheel. The car swayed from side to side. Fortunately, the police arrived just in time. His grandfather's secretary was with them. At the same time, his stepmother received a pager message. It said that Eun-gyeol had been intentionally pursuing Chung-ah with bad intentions, and he would never appear at their house again. Just as she was satisfied with the outcome, Chung-ah's father suddenly appeared. He immediately grabbed the keys to the darkroom and told her to open it. Chung-ah had been painting on the walls in the darkroom. Her stepmother had already told someone to paste paper over the walls, but Chung-ah's father was a clever guy. He knocked the coat hook off the wall, ripped down the paper, and the paintings were revealed. Chung-ah's father was furious. He slapped his wife and told her to get out of the house with her 2 kids. He fired all the servants. His stepmother was still trying to explain that everything he had heard was a lie. She said that Eun-gyeol had kidnapped Chung-ah for ransom. As she finished, Eun-gyeol appeared before her. It turned out that after taking Chung-ah out of the house, Eun-gyeol had reflected on the harsh treatment she had endured for years and had sent a message to Chung-ah's father. But he needed evidence to get rid of his wife. So, he had been following his wife. That's why his secretary brought the police to rescue Eun-gyeol. Now, Eun-gyeol finally had proof. The stepmother saw that her plan had failed. It was time for Chung-ah to return to her own home. Before leaving, she prepared dinner for everyone. Everyone praised her cooking, but after taking one bite, they all found excuses to leave. Only Yi-chan continued eating without changing his expression. After dinner, Yi-chan took Chung-ah to her doorstep. Chung-ah took Yi-chan's hand and let him meet her father. Seeing her father, she hid behind Yi-chan. She didn't know how to reconcile with him. Yi-chan wanted to talk to Chung-ah's father alone. Eun-gyeol was afraid he would cause trouble, but Yi-chan was calm. He told Chung-ah's father that his grandmother didn't understand sign language. But she had a wonderful time talking with Chung-ah. He also told Chung-ah's father that communication was the best way if he wanted to communicate with Chung-ah. He then took out a sign language textbook. Yi-chan also said that a father is a shield who protects his children before they enter the world. Even though he didn't have the chance to have a father like that, he hoped Chung-ah's father could be that for her. Chung-ah's situation was resolved. Eun-gyeol put all his thoughts on Yi-chan, determined to prevent the accident from happening tomorrow. Eun-gyeol went back to Yi-chan's house. He woke up in the middle of the night and noticed that Yi-chan was playing a song. This was the same song that the music store owner had taught Eun-gyeol when he was younger. He had said it was by an unknown composer. Eun-gyeol didn't expect that it was actually written by Yi-chan. The song represented Yi-chan's youth. It was a pity it wasn't finished. Eun-gyeol asked them to finish composing the song together. But Eun-gyeol made two promises. First, before the University Music Festival, they wouldn't let anyone know about the song. Second, he would stay inside tomorrow. Yi-chan quickly agreed. He didn't bargain with Eun-gyeol like before. He knew everything Eun-gyeol did was for his benefit. After hearing Yi-chan's words, Eun-gyeol prayed that he would protect his father's dreams and let his youth continue to shine. The next day, Eun-gyeol stayed with Yi-chan. Eun-yu went to the scene of the accident. She saw the little boy Yi-chan had saved. History repeated itself. The boy's toy hit Eun-yu's head. Then, the mischievous little boy suddenly ran into the street. At the same time, a loud screech of brakes came from a car. Eun-gyeol received a call from Eun-yu. She told him that everything was over, and she had witnessed the accident. This time, no one was hurt. Eun-gyeol's heart, which had been hanging in the balance, was completely relieved. He invited Eun-yu to Yi-chan's house. He wanted to confirm something with her. On their way, Eun-yu went to her grandfather's music store. She wanted to know who the customer was, and that her grandfather had been so excited to welcome the day he had refused Yi-chan. To her surprise, her mother walked out of the music store. She quickly hid behind a wall. Then, she stopped a taxi and followed her mother, but she lost her mother soon after. When Eun-gyeol arrived, Eun-yu told him about her visit to her grandfather. Eun-gyeol remembered that Se-kyung had given him his grandfather's guitar. In other words, the music store owner was her grandfather, the man he had been so close to when he was a kid. Eun-gyeol couldn't control his emotions. He ran to the music store. To his surprise, Yi-chan was nearby. Not long ago, his best friend had accidentally played a song Yi-chan had written. He thought the song was a better choice for the competition. He grabbed the tape and wanted to ask the music store owner for his opinion. He had promised Eun-gyeol that he wouldn't let anyone hear the song. So, he chased after his best friend. They ran to the front of the music store. His friend's pager went off. It was his father, urging him to go home. Before leaving, he returned the tape to Yi-chan and asked him to think carefully. Just then, Eun-gyeol and Yi-chan arrived at the music store at the same time. Unexpectedly, a car almost hit Eun-gyeol. In the emergency, Yi-chan ran to push him out of the way. Yi-chan was the one who got hit. Eun-gyeol crawled towards Yi-chan, who was lying on the ground. He didn't know that when Yi-chan was recording the song, he recorded a message for Eun-gyeol at the end. He thanked Eun-gyeol for helping him complete the song. He wished that Eun-gyeol would always be by his side. He said that he thought Eun-gyeol was his father, but he thought Eun-gyeol was actually his father. Finally, Eun-gyeol crawled over to his father. He hugged his father and cried. Eun-gyeol's accident was not random. Someone had planned it. Chung-ah's stepmother hated Eun-gyeol for ruining everything. To get revenge, she lied, saying that Eun-gyeol was Chung-ah's father's illegitimate son, and he had only come back to claim his inheritance. She convinced her son to take action against Eun-gyeol. He believed it and sped towards Eun-gyeol. But at the crucial moment, Yi-chan saved Eun-gyeol. Yi-chan was in the accident. Eun-yu rushed to the scene. She saw the license plate of the car that caused the accident. She gave the information to the police. The ambulance took Yi-chan and Eun-gyeol away. The music store owner picked up Yi-chan's tape from the ground and saw Eun-yu talking to the police. He thought that she had left and would be back. Eun-yu pretended to be her mother and asked the question that her mother always wanted to know. Had her father abandoned her? She got her answer. Her father had never abandoned her. He only found out about her existence after Se-kyung was adopted. He wanted her to come back, but seeing that she was happy in her new home, he couldn't bear to disrupt her happiness. Eun-yu felt sad about everything her mother had been through. She told her grandfather that if anyone asked her that same question, he should just tell them that her father never abandoned her. She was never a replacement for anyone. After saying this, Yoon-yu walked away. At this moment, the moon in the sky suddenly started acting strange. Her phone rang, and Yoon-yu and Eun-gyeol both received calls from the music store owner. He told them that tomorrow there would be 2 moons in the sky, and that would be the day they had to leave. If they didn't return, they'd be stuck here forever. Their traces in the future world would also disappear. Yi-chan was in critical condition, and Eun-gyeol was worried about leaving like this. Right now, Yi-chan is going through a stressful surgery. In his dreams, he saw himself entering university and winning music competitions. He imagined putting the graduation cap on his grandmother's head and experiencing the joy of success with his friends and loved ones. The surgery was a success, and Yi-chan was transferred to a hospital room. Eun-gyeol called Yi-chan, who was lying in his hospital bed, but he didn't respond. It wasn't until Eun-gyeol reached out and touched him that Yi-chan turned around. Yi-chan told him that he couldn't hear anything. Seeing Yi-chan's panicked and sad face, Eun-gyeol felt pain. He wanted to find the person who had hurt his father and make them pay with their blood. Yoon-yu stopped him and told Eun-gyeol that the police had caught the culprit. It was his stepmother's son, who was also Chang-ah's half-brother. Chang-ah didn't know what had happened to Yi-chan. Her father was at home with her, trying to communicate with her using sign language. Seeing her father trying so hard, Chang-ah finally smiled. She sent a pager message to tell Yi-chan the good news. She had no idea that Yi-chan was going through the darkest time of his life. Chang-ah's father found out what his son had done. He decided to make his son take responsibility and arranged for Chang-ah to study abroad. He didn't tell her about what Yi-chan had gone through. To make up for the harm his son had caused Yi-chan, he decided to pay for all of Yi-chan's medical expenses and tuition. When he heard that his stepmother's son was the culprit, Eun-gyeol ran to the police station to settle the score with him. Yoon-yu came and pulled him away. They discussed returning to 2023, but Eun-gyeol didn't want to leave. He wanted to fix everything. Yoon-yu reminded him that the only thing he could do was leave Yi-chan's fate in his hands. She believed that Yi-chan would be able to get back up and overcome this challenge. After that, Eun-gyeol agreed to meet her in front of her house at 9 p.m. After saying goodbye to Yoon-yu, Eun-gyeol went to the music store, feeling confused. The music store owner gave him Yi-chan's tape and told him to listen to the end. Before leaving, Eun-gyeol first wished the owner good health. He also said that if he got the chance, he should reconcile with his daughter. Eun-gyeol left the music store and listened to Yi-chan's tape. With the music, beautiful memories with Yi-chan echoed in his mind. After the song ended, Yi-chan thanked Eun-gyeol for helping him finish the song. Eun-gyeol had said that Yi-chan was his future father, but to Yi-chan, Eun-gyeol felt more like a father. He made Yi-chan feel cared for and looked after. Yi-chan wished that in the next life, he would be reborn as Eun-gyeol's father. Listening to Yi-chan's voice, Eun-gyeol shed a tear. He composed himself and went to the hospital to visit Yi-chan. Yi-chan saw Eun-gyeol's sad face reflected in the glass. It felt like he was losing himself. When Yi-chan found out that Eun-gyeol was from the future, he was curious about what he would be like in the future. Would he succeed in university and make his grandmother proud? Would he continue to form his favorite band and live a serious life every day? In Eun-gyeol's heart, Yi-chan was a wonderful father. He would live a good life in the future, brighter than anyone else. Unfortunately, Yi-chan couldn't hear Eun-gyeol's answer. Eun-gyeol told Yi-chan using sign language that he had to keep his promise and be brave enough to overcome the challenge. After hearing Yi-chan say it wasn't his fault and to just go, Eun-gyeol was determined to return to his own time. He went to meet Yoon-yu, but he didn't expect her to be at the music store. And to top it off, his electric scooter died on the way. When she looked up at the moon, which was about to split in two, she realized she didn't have much time. Yoon-yu screamed for help. Unfortunately, there was nobody around, and Eun-gyeol had to return alone. Suddenly, everything went dark. 2 moons appeared in the sky, and the music store materialized in front of him. Eun-gyeol didn't hesitate. He walked into the music store, took out his receipt, and claimed his guitar. When Eun-gyeol woke up, he was back in the large house of the Chang-ah family. He walked into the living room and saw a family portrait hanging on the wall. There was his dad, mom, and brother. Eun-gyeol called Yoon-yu, but it was the wrong number. He went to Yoon-yu's house, and a strange woman answered the door. Eun-gyeol was confused. He guessed that Yoon-yu had been stuck in the past. He took a few steps when his phone rang. It was a former band member who wanted him to join an event. Before he could finish, the call ended. Immediately, a group of girls surrounded Eun-gyeol. They took pictures of him, and Eun-gyeol quickly ran away from them. As he was running, he jumped into a luxury car. It was his band members. Now, Eun-gyeol and the band members were famous. They were invited to a brand event tonight and had to perform. When he arrived, he learned that he was a member of Monsieur Music's popular band, and also a model for Jin sung instruments. Overwhelmed by the changes in his present, Eun-gyeol tried to organize his thoughts. At that moment, his brother appeared in front of him. Eun-gyeol hugged his brother and told him that he never considered him a burden. The two brothers laughed and joked, fighting like they always had. Chang-ah arrived at the event, and Eun-gyeol started looking for information about his mother. She had taken over his grandfather's business. Now, she was the CEO, involved in charity events. She had become a successful woman. Eun-gyeol was proud of his mother. He went to hug her and thanked her for being such a great woman. The mother came to the event with her two sons. Chang-ah was busy greeting old friends, some of whom had formed a band with Yi Chan in high school. Eun-gyeol remembered that his father had chosen to cut off contact with his friends because he saw that they reminded him of the accident that had made him deaf. He didn't want to see his friends' sad faces, but this time, his father didn't choose to stay away from his friends. Eun-gyeol was happy about that. It seemed like his dad had overcome the difficult times. The event began, and his dad appeared on stage. Eun-gyeol flipped through the magazine in his hand, and he was shocked to learn that his dad was actually the head of the guitar department at the company. He had gone to college in America, and he communicated with everyone on stage using sign language. He talked about how he had been in an accident and become deaf. At first, he couldn't accept it and was terrified. After a time of feeling down, he decided not to give up on himself. He started to learn sign language and imagine sounds in his mind. After saying what he wanted to say, his dad picked up his guitar and played a short piece. His dad's sense of humor and optimism filled Eun-gyeol with pride. Eun-gyeol started getting ready for his next performance. He bumped into his father and hugged him, thanking him for keeping his promise. As he walked away, he accidentally dropped Yi Chan's tape. His father saw it. His face was full of surprise. It was Eun-gyeol's band's turn to perform. His father's friends watched Eun-gyeol's performance. They couldn't help but notice that he looked familiar. His father smiled as he watched Eun-gyeol play the guitar. He knew who Eun-gyeol was. When Eun-gyeol's performance ended, he saw Eun-yu in the audience. He ran to her, catching up with her outside the concert hall. Seeing his girlfriend again, Eun-gyeol couldn't control himself. He kissed her. Eun-yu was close to not being able to return to the future. Fortunately, she found a tractor and asked for a ride. Even if the tractor was slow, it was still better than walking. With the tractor's help, Eun-yu arrived at the music store on time and retrieved her cello. She was eager to return to her world and find out what had happened to her mother. Before she got to the music store, she ran into her mother, who had just returned from America. Eun-yu encouraged her mother to ask her grandfather for details about why he had abandoned her. She would finally get answers to the questions that had been bothering her. Eun-yu told her mother that she wasn't a replacement for anyone. She was her own, unique person. This time, returning to the modern world. In addition to seeing her mother, Eun-yu wanted to see the love of her life, Eun-gyeol. That's the end of this episode. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing stories. Goodbye and see you next time.